was machen wir so lang? Soll ich noch einen Countdown suchen? Wo ist denn die offizielle Seite? Pass auf. Exile. 2. Vielleicht kann ich ja so einen Bildschirmausschnitt machen. Early Access Launching. Das ist schon der 6. Dezember. Das ist gar nicht mehr so lang. Warrior. Ranger. Huntress. Sorceress. Mercenary. Monk. Druide. Witch. Oh, das war's. Das sind die, die kommen. 8 Stück? Oder wie ist das gemeint? Ja, wo ist der Countdown? Präsentation. Presentation. Countdown. Da kündigen sie ja jetzt auch. Ich finde es nicht. Vielleicht in ihrem offiziellen Forum. Wait, was? Die Server restarten? GG Live, Twitch Drops. Natalia, GGG. Oh, da ist es doch. Holy shit. Was heißt PST? The RAM is restarting in 15 minutes. Sehr gute Verbindung. Ich fühle mich mit euch verbunden. Alles auswählen. Ja, was machen wir denn jetzt, bis das kommt? Ich kann mich ja nicht unterhalten, so aus dem Nichts heraus. Allgemein, selbst wenn ich was zu tun hätte, wäre es keine Unterhaltung. Aber so ist es noch schlimmer. Ja, weil das Tier, das fährt ja runter in 14 Minuten. Das kann man nicht machen. Da ist nichts zu tun. Ach, ich hätte so gern die DLCs. Ja, ist krass hier. 830 Stunden. Potato. Die Dominus-Kollektion. Wait, was? Wo sieht der aus? Nee. So habe ich dir nicht vorgestellt. Ich habe gerade gelesen, die ersten 3 Bücher von Battletech-Bücher, sag ich mal allgemein. Ja, so eher. Da bin ich gerade dran. Das sind gerade die Gegner. Liao. Man sieht doch ganz anders aus. Als der hier. Der hat viel dünnere Beine. Das ist kein High-Quality Model. In dem Buch war es auch immer so, beim Kämpfen haben die sich ganz oft so hingehockt, also so richtig tief. So dass dann die Beine hier so hochgehuckt haben und dann. Vielleicht versuchen wir es zu zeichnen. Paint. Ja. Oh. Hey, so geht das nicht. Oh. Ja, warte mal, das ist scheiße. Warum ein Stift? Und hier drunter ist dann dieser Laser, Medium Laser. hinter das andere Bein. Oh ja, warte, das ist zu viel. So. Ne, warte mal. Oh, wie gesagt, kann ich nicht rückgängig machen, ey. Aha, geht doch. Wir machen rote Laser. Warte mal, Medium Laser. War die, nee, grün waren die Large Laser. Battle Tank. Was, blau? Laser Color. Color? Small Red, Medium Yellow, Large Blue. Ist das grün? Ich dachte, die Large wären grün. Ah, Medium ist grün. Ja. Kann ich die dicker machen irgendwie? Den Strich? Bzzz. Ja, der muss aus dem Bild rausgehen. Ne? Bzzz. Ah, das ist ein Locust. So habe ich mir mal vorgestellt, wenn er jetzt sich so hockt, um zu schießen. Locust. Oh nein, nicht grün. Oh, mal 30. Es geht kein 36. Locust. Foto. Realistischer. Locust. Oh nein, ich wollte es verschieben. Oh, das kann ich ja verschieben. Ah. Das ist doch scheiße. Oh mein Gott. Egal. So sieht das aus. Der Mac kommt am Anfang von MacWarrior Vengeance vor. Im Trailer. Da. Da hat man kurz gesehen. Upscale. Let's go. Upscale. Noch einer.
Powers Command, this is 4-1. We've sighted a second Overlord touching down. We have heavy casualties, enemy units still moving in on the palace. Please advise.
Hold your position, 4-1. We're mobilizing palace defenses, but we need time to evacuate the royal family.
Roger, Command, we'll do our best. Who the hell are they?
Ey! Ich hab nur die Maus berührt.
All units, man your station. Tech warriors, you are cleared to mobilize and engage at will. Gunnery crews, you are authorized to fire at incoming hostiles. Air units, back palace personnel to Valley Point Echo immediately.
We've got at least 4 lenses up the wall. Support units. Looks mostly like LRM launches.
Sigma Lead, this is Sigma 2. Any idea what we're up against?
Well-equipped strike forces. Probably the 5th Donegal.
That's my old unit. Why would our own forces attack us?
It was inevitable.
Ja, ich habe schon das Gefühl, das sind Pornodarsteller. Eigentlich. Aber jetzt nicht, weil sie schlecht schauspielen, aber so dicke Lippen und so.
Sigma Lance. Warm up on my lead.
Oh, let's go. Zack.
Central Guard is Sigma Lance leader. We're moving out.
We have the royal family aboard. We can't let
Da finde ich so lame. Wird. Genau. Die mal noch alle dicht beisammen.
Incoming LRMs, get clear.
Jetzt auf einmal sind sie auch alle da
Look
drin.
out, get out of the
Warum sind sie so
hangar!
da? Oh Mann, ey. Voll doof.
Get a track of those damn launchers.
I got track!
Take them out.
Let's go, ey.
Impact!
Nice shot, Sig 2. All right. On my mark. We break off and head for the central courtyard.
We'll fall back and try to regroup.
No!
Incoming!
Activate EMS.
Gegenmaßnahmen!
Sir!
Gegenmaßnahmen, Leute! Nein!
Oh my...
Oh no. 3 Raketen haben
Sig 2
gereicht.
is Lance leader. Do you read? Karis, can you hear me?
Das ist auch ein bisschen lame.
Central
Sieht
Guard.
alles geil
is
aus,
Sigma
aber
leader.
dass die so schnell kaputt
What's your
war.
status? Command, this is Sigma leader. I've lost contact with Central Guard. Any receiving unit. I have contact with main enemy force inside Central Courtyard. I'll delay them here as long as I can.
Jawohl, let's go. Oh nein. Der arme Kerl. Mein Fehlbeton. Ich werde bald nochmal Mercenaries spielen, eventuell. Hat er noch mehr Cutscenes?
Guard is the damn launchers.
I got track!
My son, I wish these did not have to be my final words to you. I must try to make up for... You may have thought... Their seed, I am very, very...
But your father's wishes were always for honor. We have to break Steiner's grip on Kantari's 4, then remove your cousin William from the throne. They can fight back. I know they'll join with us.
Mann. Also in dem Buch, wo ich gerade lese, das ist ein Steiner die Guten. Ja. Nicht bei. Das ist zwar Kunst, aber ich möchte ja nicht die Kunstwelt aufrütteln dadurch. Der ist noch 1 Stunde. Was machen wir in der Zeit? Ich würde sagen, Warhammer. What the fuck? Hallo Darky. Ja, der konnte den Sound nicht hören. Ich hab nebenbei, der Mond hat noch dazu den Clownsmarsch. Aber ich hab den aus, weil ich nebenbei Streams anhabe. Ich mache mal mit Sound. Okay. Desktop Audio. Oh, ich muss das mal umlegen auf was anderes. Clown. Oder? Ja, das ist der Pinocchio-Zaubersound. Aber ist viel zu leise eigentlich. Ich hoffe, man kann es hören. Ja, ich habe weder Kosten noch Mühen gescheut mit meinen Twitch-Kanal-Punkte-Belohnung. Oh, ich würde sagen, es ist noch sehr buggy. Ich habe auch gelesen, heute auf Reddit, es soll so eine Art, so wie bei Left 4 Dead, da gab es ja damals auch so eine Art Director, der quasi die Horden und so gelenkt hat und was spawnen und so. Sowas gibt es auch bei Stalker 2 und das scheint anscheinend nicht so richtig zu funktionieren noch. A-Life 2 heißt das ganze System. Ich warte noch ein bisschen, bis die das gefixt haben. Aber an sich ist es, die Atmosphäre und so ist eigentlich schon mal ziemlich cool. Genau. Genauso sehe ich es auch. Ich warte, glaube ich, einfach ein bisschen. Ich weiß nicht, ob es so wichtig ist zu warten. Im Prinzip, ich kann mir gut vorstellen, dass es einen hohen Wiederspielswert hat. Wiederspielswert, ja. Ah, ich weiß nicht. Weil ich mich jetzt mit sowas beschäftigen will, das so buggy ist. Das ist schon geil. Ich habe es ja gestern gespielt und es hat schon Spaß gemacht. Ich habe es auf der Xbox gespielt. Ich weiß noch, beim PC, glaube ich, würde das nicht so gut laufen. Ich habe bei einigen Streamern zugeguckt, die viel bessere PCs haben als ich. Und die ist nur sehr schlecht, würde ich mal sagen. Nicht fast gar nicht, aber schon sehr schlecht. Ich hätte da erwartet, dass es besser läuft bei solchen PCs. Ich habe ja nur eine 1660 GTX. Ich glaube, da brauche ich keine Hoffnung zu hegen, dass das irgendwie gut läuft. Nur kurz gucken. Ich glaube, ich kann hier auch klauen. Edit. Commands? Save. Okay. Save. Nochmal. Ich hoffe, es ist nicht zu laut. Ah, ich glaube, es war eh schon auf 100%. Ne, es ist nicht wirklich lauter. Auf meinem Ohr ist es richtig laut, aber in OBS, in diesem Balken da, geht es noch nicht mal auf minus 30 Dezibel. Aber es kann auch täuschen. Naja. Wir müssen noch mal neu aufnehmen wie heißt es? Ich habe vergessen, wie es heißt. Wo habe ich es? Audacity, genau. Ich finde, das sollte schon reinknallen. Was sagst du zu meinem Webcam-Rahmen? Habe ich mit einem CAD-Programm gemacht. Weil mit GIMP habe ich das nicht hingekriegt, dass ich überall gleichmäßige Abstände habe und so. Ja, jetzt habe ich überall gleichmäßige Abstände. Wie soll ich das beschreiben? Halt rechts, links und unten. Oben, wo der Name steht, ist natürlich breiter, damit das dahin geht. Ich bin relativ zufrieden damit. Könnte natürlich noch ein bisschen Schnörkel dran sein und sowas. Aber da habe ich keine Lust drauf gehabt. So. Haben sie schon angefangen? Wie, ich folge denen nicht. Was ist das denn für eine Zuversicht? Moment mal. Ich habe ihnen doch schon gefolgt. Das kann nicht sein. Auf igdb.com ansehen. Was ist das denn ja schon wieder? International Game Database. Wie Kanäle auf Deutsch. Das ist ja immer ganz oben, glaube ich, weil ich als Deutsch gelte. Ich habe es noch nicht angekreuzt oder so. Ja, das ist auf Englisch. Ja, das sind ja nur... Nee, warte mal, das ist nicht der Kanal. Hier, das ist der Kanal. Das ist das Game. Ah, wir sind schon live. Let's go. Oder? Hey, was ist das? Wir sind offline. Da steht hier sein Live. Scam. Login. 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 Let's go. Ja, das war der also nicht der Kanal, sondern das Spiel eben. Also ich habe den richtigen Kanal nicht gefunden. Und nur das komische Spiel. Oh, anklopfen? Kann man... Ja, es geht nicht. Schade. Today is Announcement Day. Fischkopf spielt Stalker. Pass auf Exile 2. Guckt ihr auch? Ne, steht nichts davon im Titel zumindest. Moonlight guckst auch nicht. Skandal. Wait, hat die jetzt noch nicht gelöst? Ist immer noch dran.
11. Three. 6. 11.
Sie schafft es nicht. Das Puzzle ist zu hart für sie.
Maybe I'll do. Okay.
Ich würde es mit Gewalt versuchen zu lösen. Einfach mit
3.
einem Baseballschläger oder so. Der geht doch bestimmt.
6. 11. 9.
Ich schau mal hier den Twitch-Chat an. Ich habe schon wieder Nachrichten verpasst. Sorry. Mal 2 Twitch-Chats übereinander.
Are you have a link to the troubleshooting?
Skill-Issue. Ja, wenigstens mal nicht so schnell. Alles klar. Welches spielst du denn? Das neue Black Ops 6? Oder welches ist es? Ich esse noch eine Erdnuss hier. Ob sie es schafft jemals? Ah, okay. Mir war es zu groß, ey. Das wird zu viel zum Downloaden. Aber vielleicht probier es mal irgendwann.
Putting a small hammer in the box would be funny.
Ehrlich.
The horizontal slider.
Ich hab nur einmal kurz
Okay,
geguckt.
so this one isn't locked into place. Could that be why?
Erforderlich. 20. Was will man denn haben? Das will man wahrscheinlich. Ja, das ist schon weg.
I don't think it's like a normal combination slider.
Na, das will man wahrscheinlich haben. Multiplayer? Hier nicht, oder? Ah, doch. Und Grundspiel. Ja, okay, da schon mal eine Menge weg. 106. Ja, gucken. Vielleicht irgendwann mal. Ja, ich bin nicht so der Multiplayer-Mensch. Weil ich werde nur weggeowned. Ja. Ich bin dann quasi nur wie Tomaten oder sowas. Oder Melonen. Ja, für die anderen Spieler.
So that should be good, right? Or because
Immer wenn ein anderer Spieler auf mich trifft, ist das +1 auf seinen Kill-Count. Deswegen spiele ich sowas eigentlich fast gar nicht mehr. Im Multiplayer zumindest. Weil es ein Cap leert.
Is there something I'm missing here? This doesn't even have a horizontal slider unless it is this thing. It is that thing?
Cap leer.
I think I locked myself because I can't get it over anymore. Alright, so these are locked. I open it, right? 1, 0.
Du hast einen Assassinen-Druide. Kommando-Druide, Cap.
1. Oh, there we go. Okay, okay.
Very positive.
Now these are locked in place. Yeah, but this thing doesn't lock.
Gamera Game. Oh, das ist viel zu laut.
It's stuck down. Is that fine?
Oh nein, das hat diese Kartoffel-Grafik.
Yeah, but when I actually have it, then it doesn't. Well,
Das heißt, dass es schlecht sein muss.
3.
Es sieht aus wie geklaut bei diesem einen Spieler.
6.
Wie hieß das nochmal? Ich hab das Spiel auch.
9.
Kann sein, dass ich es gerade nicht installiert habe.
Wait, it kind of moved. It's like kind of stuck.
Ich hab's nicht installiert. Wir könnten noch eine Runde. Potato.
3.
Damn.
6.
Desmos Die?
11.
Wird auch schon lange nicht mehr gespielt.
9.
Procedural Horde Patch is no life.
Oh, I got it.
Hat sie's?
Oh my god. Fucking idiots misleading me when it was just because this thing wasn't technically solved. Fuck you all. I knew I was right.
Ist es offen?
That's the only possible way it could have been. There we go.
Aber das ist gar nicht zu sehen. Die tut nur so, glaube ich.
Now we got this thing. And it has a little arrow thing on it. What does that mean? Does it mean to turn it? Oh, can I do this now? No. in like a centrifuge. There's no fucking way. Maybe I'll spin this that way.
Atlas. Oh, ein Marauder. Was hat der für einer? Ein Cyclone? Ich habe erst die ersten 3 Bücher gelesen von Great Ace Legion. Da hatten die keinen Cyclone. Boah, wie lange die Zeit vergeht. Ja. Desmo-Style. Da habe ich halt die Uhr aber nicht mehr so im Blick. Das ist der größte Nachteil. Habe ich da irgendwelche Settings in Steam, dass ich eine Uhr sehe? Na Junge, für einen Bogen. Skadi, go Skadi, let's go. Noading. Attack. Dash. Ja, also, Digga. Hallo? Also, müssen noch Gegner näher sein. Goddess of Earth.
This is just the practice part.
Practice Fahrt? Crushing a tank. Great Wall. Landslide, das klingt cool. Oh, jawohl.
Blazing.
Iteration Reroll Banish. Okay. Ah, das klingt doch cool.
You mortals.
5. Hier, Frostwürfel will ich haben. Let's go. Oh nein! Oh.
Time and time.
Some. Die Mortal. Oh, Schleims. Oh nein. Immobilized. Dieses Erzeugs kommt man nur sehr, sehr selten. Ostwolf? Hey, was hast du? Oh, los geht los, ey. Unnötig. Ja, das ist eigentlich ganz gut. Das Single Target Damage. Outreach. Wait, you attack, you strikes. Huh? Voll. Ja, so ist viel. Aha. Ja. Noch nicht gesehen, die hier. Ah doch, jetzt habe ich es gesehen. Hygiene. Jawohl. Garstige Säure, Schleime. Was ist der Unterschied zwischen Power, Strike, Attack? Must Attack, Strike, Power. Attack. Egal. Oh mein Gott. Wer findet die fiese Aura jetzt aber? Sterbe. Oh mein Gott. Oh, Stadt. Wo ist das, der Kerl?
Death.
Der ist? Oh mein Gott. Ja, hier. Eieiei. Scheiße! So unfair, dass die außerhalb des Drinks noch reinschießen können. So lame, ey. Das ist unfair. Ich finde das nicht fair, dass sie von außerhalb reinschießen können. Hab keinen. Rund. Wie viel Geld habe ich denn? 5000. Das ist ein Summon-Count. Can't be equipped. Weil es heavy ist, oder? Mailbox. Trophy. Kann ich das nicht equippen? Könnt ihr das equippen? Ja. Zusammenbild incoming. Ja. Wenn wir 15 Minuten Zeit. Let's go. Ich will wieder Frostwölfe haben.
Allow me to interfere.
Oh shit. 3% Chance. Attack 7. Und das wird da. Hi Joe Play, guten Abend. Abends die könnte vorhin damit was Grund. Ja. Was ist das? Peace of Mint. Wie der Charakter nicht entscheidet, ob was für Items ich brauche und welche nicht. Ja, nicht mehr lang. 6. Dezember.
Come on.
Your Tag. Aber ich will auch. Du bist nicht allein. Aber es dauert nicht mehr lang. Wow, du, der war laut. Oh, wieder Platz vor uns, denke ich mal. Aber ein bisschen enttäuscht mich das Summon ein bisschen. So wenige sind. Oder am Boss. Noch mehr. Mehr von diesen Flugschwertern. Oh, Schleimattacke. Heilen ist genug. Sterbe. Ich war zu schlecht. Oh Mann, ey. Ich brauche andere Summons. Also die Blutschwerter fand ich nicht so gut im Endeffekt. Vielleicht mit mehr Attack Speed. Ich will nur die Schneewölfe haben. Die waren okay. Und ich würde auch die Vasen im Auto attacken. Was ist das hier? Excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît. Je ne parle pas français.
Summer is here.
Okay, ich möchte auf jeden Fall. Nope. Wenn es geht. Live-Link. Shit. Die will einen Summon haben, auf jeden Fall. End One, Loot Filter. Will nicht einfach Restart One. Hä? Warum gibt es keinen Restart dran? Wieso muss ich ganz rausgehen einmal? Ist ja saudumm. Saudumm. Ja, wie sieht's aus? Nein, Login. Warum ist hier kein Countdown? 80.000 Leute fast, ey. Alle sind so. Eigentlich bin ich gar nicht so gehypt, weil ich meine, was soll da kommen? Ja, bei Pass auf Exile, da kommen ja wenigstens halt so die Liga-Informationen, Balance-Änderungen eventuell. Ich meine, was soll da jetzt großartig kommen? Ja? Nix, was da Spannendes passieren könnte, oder?
They're just...
Machen wir mal die. Und Raben. Ja, die Raben. Die Raben sitzen im Graben und laben sich an den Narben. Why? Oh shit. Vielleicht geht's ja morgen schon los mit Pass auf Exile. Ne, Quatsch. Das wird ein extra Klient wahrscheinlich, oder? Anders kann es nicht sein. Das wird sicher nicht im selben Klient sein. Ich Pass auf Exile 1. Wenn es auch das eigene Spiel wird.
Death's
Time. Cooldown. Weihnachtscontent. Oh man, das wäre cool. So eine kleine Weihnachtsliga. Da sage ich nicht nein.
Time to paint the battle.
Rampaging Attack. Oh, Ravens of Pestilence. Oh, hier haben wir auch noch. The Summons deal more damage. Okay, nehmen wir das auch noch. Okay, haben wir. 2056. Wir können noch ein bisschen. Ich habe ein Rabenbild gestartet hier. Aria ist so geil. Unverwundbar. Let's go. Ihr könnt mir nichts anhaben, ihr Narren. Ihr Narren. Was ist dies? Zwei Minuten. Summoner. Warte mal. Ja. Kling, klang, klung. Okay, es reicht. Ist noch gar nicht, ey. Das ist ein Countdown oder sowas, ey. Ich auf jeden Fall, der hat schon einen. Nur ein neuer Laden. Das ist er doch. Hä? Warum habe ich das nicht gehabt? Okay. Hallo? Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck? So. Linke neuen Tab öffnen, das kann ich gucken. Ja, wo sind die Drops? Warcraft Anniversari? Ich will meine Drops haben. Müsste eigentlich noch alles gelinkt sein und so. Oh. Wann ist es soweit? Was werden sie uns wohl sagen wollen? Letukan has arrived.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world. Ready your men, Captain. We will only get one chance.
Nein! What the fuck? Nein! Nein! Oh my god, what's going on? Geht hier irgendjemand was runter?
And remember, when you hear the whispers, call for help. Do not attack.
Do not attack.
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
So leise.
Yeah.
Then Dorman, shut your damn mouth. Ugh, why do I always get stuck with these rookies?
Hey, the kid's got a mean cleave. Give him a chance.
Quiet.
Was ist es? Warum ist es dunkel? Richtiges Video, ey. Wäre cool, wenn sie jetzt auch mit sowas Blizzard Konkurrenz machen würden.
A mean cleave, eh, Captain? Rookie can't even lift his own sword. Captain Oren?
Oh oh.
Captain? It's here. Rain! Send the signal!
Oh no.
What the fuck?
Rain! On my back! Blade up!
Come on, come on! I'm ready. I'm ready.
Was ist das?
It's a man.
No, it's not. Run.
Was ist das? Oh shit. Ich brauche einen Paladin und sowas. Und Kleriker. Oh no. What?
Captain! Captain!
On your feet, lad.
Sir, the captain,
You'll be fine. Here.
Das kenne ich aus Hellraiser.
What is it?
Ein Tod.
Get the body.
Stop. Mortal. It can still be contained. You don't know what you have unleashed.
Your kind no longer control this world. We cannot destroy your body, it's true. But you will watch as we destroy everything you have built. Bind him! Feed. Grow, my child. I'll make sure you can eat your fill.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Now, Path of Exile 2 is going into early access in around 2 weeks on December the 6th. But even though it's early access, this isn't just some small taste. The game is huge. In this livestream, we're going to be introducing everything you can expect. So without further ado, let's roll the gameplay trailer.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs. Some have said, my methods are brutal. To this, I say, there can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Oh mein Gott. Jetzt so ein Nippelhäubchen gehabt.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
Wow.
Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Now, as you just saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced PoE 2, and over that time we've revealed a lot, but it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all, so today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access. Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the end game. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him. and this is where you find yourself at the start of PoE 2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham, traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri Desert, and delve into the jungle ruins of Exile, an ancient Val city.
Nein!
There are challenging
Oh nein! Twitch!
monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants,
Oh.
and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same.
Oh mein Gott, nein.
It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation.
Twitch, fix your website.
On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge unlikely bonds, and uncover lost civilizations.
What the fuck? Okay,
First,
142.000,
you'll
ey.
need to pick a
Holy shit.
class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and his mechanics involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in PoE 2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different
Oh
combos.
nein, warum läuft das so scheiße? Oh nein. Die sollen alle abhauen, ey.
Get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems.
Ach,
Using a skill
geil.
gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing.
Nein! Twitch ist schuld. Fucking Twitch, what the fuck? Oh Mann, ey. Die fucking Chinesen sind schuld. Weil die Internetkabel gekappt haben. So gesehen ist es echt ein lustiger Slide. Eben was 170.000 kurz, ey. Das ist Hammer.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
Precious. Those who
Power and tends to harness. There are
Oh,
21
mir geht's
active
aus
skills
gut.
for quarter staves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have.
Morgen Freitag.
By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing where you find yourself at the start
Oh, wir
of
haben
PoE 2.
zurückgespult.
Explore the dark forests of Ogham, traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri Desert, and
Gute
delve
Idee.
into the jungle ruins of
Zurückspulen.
Exile, an ancient Val city. There are challenging monsters, hidden runes, lost camps and treasures, roaming merchants, and of course, unique bosses. No two areas are the same. It falls to you to track down the seed of corruption, the source of all this devastation. On the way, you'll face fearsome monsters, meet strange characters, forge
Das
unlikely
waren
bonds,
Hyänen,
and uncover lost
Centaur.
civilizations. But first, you'll need to pick a class.
Witch.
Now, early
Minion
access
build.
will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat, and his mechanics involve building up and keeping momentum. Like all classes in
Oh, der hat so ein
PvP, you'll want to
Glockendings.
use a wide
Wie der
variety of
aus
skills to mix
Diablo
and match
3.
different
Also,
combos.
die haben's geklaut.
To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cunning menu, which shows all the active skills available in PoE 2. You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem,
Hand auf
even if you
Chayula.
pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new.
Fliegerstrike.
The monk primarily uses the quarterstaff. There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning,
Oh, nee.
ice,
Physical.
and wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to
Ich will
involve mixing
nur
elements
physischen
of all
Schaden haben,
three.
wenn ich schon Nahkampf spiele.
Let's try killing palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use killing palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add elemental damage to the strikes. The monk also has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use staggering palm to punch them down. After that, any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles.
Okay, also er hat das gerade geheilt, aber der Blast war nicht irgendwie so gut oder
So
so.
this just scratches the surface of the options that you
Sehr
have.
merkwürdig.
By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack, spewing projectiles and obliterating screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
Okay.
Now, if you like a style of melee that's a little slower but hits much harder, then the warrior is for you. He pounds the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor. Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time.
Nice.
Among the skill options for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and
Ancestral
shield
Warrior
skills.
Totem. Oh nein, die haben
Here,
es
I'm gonna slam
zurückgebracht.
the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava. I can even run through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage. The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will double any slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells.
Ooh.
While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and you will be vulnerable.
Oh no.
Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way. Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills, like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them. While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front. The warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you can also get ancestral warrior totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my ancestral warrior totem. Now when I summon him, he'll sit there and slam the monsters from a distance.
Du hast
There
ja
are 20
beim
active
ersten
skills
Teil
for
entfernt
maces,
und
so
beim
there's a lot more
zweiten
to
Teil
try
wieder
out.
reingebracht.
But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on. Time for some ranged attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you'll have a lot of mobility in combat. Bow skills have a variety of lightning, poison, ice, and physical attacks. Lightning attacks bounce around between targets.
Oh,
you can also stick
das
lightning
war
arrows to the
blöd.
ground which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat. Ice attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants. With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation. By endgame, you'll be creating hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes. You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a thawing charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt. The mercenary wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different ammo types, offering versatility, power, and mobility. All classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo types, so long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect.
Ich denke auf jeden Fall.
Use glacial bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage. If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a backseat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her, while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies. Occult skills are some of the most varied in the game, with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell. For the Witch, though, we'll want to be using our spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here, I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one. Skeletal warriors are cheap, but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists. Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you will be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path. The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. The elemental skills have everything you might expect and more. Fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage.
Das ergibt keinen Sinn. Aber ist cool.
It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited.
Also gibt's noch ein
There are
Cockbild.
25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access.
Ich hoffe, sie sagen mir
We'll
was
be
zu
adding
den
6 more
Ascendancies.
character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come.
Ja.
There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. For example, a Poison Ranger might want to try out using Occult Curses to increase her poison damage. Or a Monk might want to trigger Elemental Ice Walls to use with his Glacial Cascade combo. The possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited. We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build
Ja, was mich
customization,
nicht
and we
gestört hat, ist,
haven't
dass
even
sie
scratched the
nach
surface of what is possible yet.
da stehen geblieben sind,
So let's talk about support gems.
nachdem der Gegner tot war. Das sah irgendwie merkwürdig aus.
Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Normally when you fire a grenade it'll look like this. But if we add multiple projectiles, then you get 3 of them. Once you have the gem, you can also freely move it between any of the skills on your character. If you want to have a multi-shot sniper rifle instead, then simply move the gem over to your high-velocity round skill.
Genau.
Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support
Ich
gem
auch.
should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage.
Oh.
Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can
More
interact.
armor break.
Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas. Now all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, make skills repeat, make enemies set each other on fire, cull enemies, or pin them to the ground. Supports let you drastically change the behavior of your skills and create your own unique build, or at least follow someone's OP build guide. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some way. But if you do happen to make a choice you regret, you'll be able to respec any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Das ist gut. Ich glaube, das hat die Leute
Now, the
am
tree is
meisten
generally
abgeschreckt,
divided
dass
up
man
into clusters which
ja,
have
Angst
similar
gehabt hat,
themes.
da sich zu
In each
verskillen
cluster
schnell.
you'll find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses, and they tend to care a lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time.
20%.
This one gives a chance for projectiles
mit
to
multiple
rebound off terrain,
projectiles.
as well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute
Genau.
highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like
Das
to
ist auch
use,
insane.
so
Holy
it's very
shit,
easy
man kann
to get
einfach
points for any attribute that
aussuchen,
your
was
gear
man
might
drin,
need.
was für ein
You can
Stats
change
man
which
kriegt.
attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec
Ja,
vendor.
war teuer.
In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them. A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield two-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them.
Dual white
You can use a
two-handed
two-hand
weapons.
mace with a shield,
Yeah.
or even dual wield them.
Oh mein Gott. Das ist geil.
Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough
Let's
to build
go.
around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be very rewarding. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. For the Sorceress, you might want to change between fire and lightning specialization. Or you could switch between one hand and a two-hand setup in order to be able to block boss attacks while following up with heavy hits from your bigger mace. Or perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. If you want to stick with just one weapon set, you can just use these specialization points as bonus points to invest however you like.
Wie ist es mit Minions? Kann man die mit Minions-Skill-Tree beschwören und dann auf einen anderen wechseln und bleiben die so? Wie sie mit dem Minions-Skill-Tree waren?
For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. On the map you can see icons that indicate the many optional encounters you can find. Some of them have permanent character boosts, and others have powerful items. If you're having trouble getting past a boss, it might be a good idea to explore and see what you can find. For example, if you defeat Blackjaw the Remnant, you'll gain a permanent increase to fire resistance. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them. So make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? Items in Path of Exile can be broken down into 4 rarity groups: normal, magic, rare, and unique. One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with one mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a third mod, upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods.
Das sieht gut aus.
One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign.
Okay, dann ist es vielleicht doch besser.
We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor. If you disenchant magic items, you can build up to an Orb of Transmutation, and by disenchanting rares, you can build up to Regal Orbs. Another important area of crafting items in PoE 2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance. This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an Artificer's Orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful. Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This can be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills. Take advantage of the system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange.
Brust war so eine Schärfe bedeckt, die andere hatte nur so eine Nippelkappe aus Metall. Das war bestimmt ein MTX.
Now all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold.
Ja. Nippelkappen.
Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't. Uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character. Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison. The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes. And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match.
Da hat man schon ein paar Uniques gesehen, die nicht so toll aussahen. Also typische.
The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension.
Yes. Go.
Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to
Oh,
unlock
bitte
your
kein
Ascension
Labyrinth.
class. We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely.
Oh nee, das eine sieht nach Chaos aus, das andere nach Feuer oder so. Nichts richtiges
As a
Sammlermäßiges.
sorceress, you could become a Stormweaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be summoned each time you do a critical hit with a spell.
Das ist ja wie Cock.
With Strike twice, you can stack 2 copies of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze.
Oh.
Not only that, but she has many
Level
other
9
time
spell.
manipulation abilities.
Time stop.
Using Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a previous location, resetting her life and mana back to
Oh,
what it
jetzt haben sie
was.
überlassen, die Woche,
Or with
glaube ich.
Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again. On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power.
Oh, der hat mehr Totems.
Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Oh nein, Quinn-Bild.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock.
Oh.
With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style.
Och man, Deadeye, das haben sie mit Path of Exile 1 geklaut.
Every attack ends an extra projectile. With Gathering Winds, she
Oh
gains a small increase to movement speed
nein.
with every attack. But be
Oh, das
careful,
ist ja so
she loses them with getting
einfallslos. Das gab's doch alles schon.
With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive
Wait,
points
es
on
gibt
accuracy.
Genauigkeits...
Alternatively, you could
Malus
become a
auf Distanz?
Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison.
Nein.
She
Was
can
ist das
choose
echt
from one of several
Pathfinder?
throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive
ich
bottles
weiß
that deal
nicht.
various types of
Aber
damage.
ich habe jetzt verpasst, was wir gesagt haben.
A
Das klingt
bleeding
halt voll
concoction will make
nach
your enemies bleed,
Pathfinder.
while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage. Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while overwhelming toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault
Zum
allows her to
Chat sagen.
move much more quickly while firing,
So
while
fresh.
Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage.
Och man.
As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite
Klingt
enemies.
interessant, aber...
She can also transform into a literal demon.
Ich hätte mir eher
While in
sowas wie
demon form, she takes
Necromancer
an
erhofft.
increasing amount of damage,
Bloodmage klingt auch wieder
but her
doof.
cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a blood mage, a master of life and energy. All blood mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. With Crimson Power, she can gain large amounts of extra life, and with Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become
Witch ist
an invoker.
abgefuckt. Total
With
doof.
elemental expression, the invoker will
Keine
create
richtige
waves of
Sammler ist
elemental
der
power
Ziel.
each time he does a critical strike. With
Oh
faith
Mann,
as a
ey.
choice, you gain
Das
the
ist
ability to
belastend.
meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield. Choose between I am the Blizzard
Ja.
or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning.
Trotzdem, ey, das ist bei sowas mit den Sekten, die Summoner als Tendenz dabei nehmen, weil statt solche
Each time you
komischen.
apply a status ailment to an
Oh
enemy,
Mann.
you gain unbound fury.
Vielleicht werde ich dann doch kein
When you
Summoner
have
spielen.
enough, transform
Oder
into
den
an
Infernal
avatar
halt.
to
Mit
deal
dem
way more
Hellhound, das
damage
klingt noch
and inflict even
einigermaßen
more
interessant.
elemental ailments. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb
Das
and
stimmt, der
deal
Hellhound
damage.
war cool.
The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well.
Das mit Mind over Matter?
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you socket more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes, while Crystalline Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem
Holy
socketed into your
moly,
character.
das könnte lustig sein.
So those are the Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert.
Das Gambling-Ding
The highest
klang halt
position in
ziemlich
Maraketh
interessant.
culture is a Sekima, and it is not a title given freely.
Schau,
All
ich hatte einen
aspirants
Nippelkappen.
must complete the trial of the Sekimas, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience.
Da muss man dran denken, du kannst ja
To enter,
alles mit
a
allem
warrior of the
spielen.
Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different.
Das heißt, du könntest den als Summoner spielen auch. Also mein
Once you
Mann
have
hat der
earned your coin, it may be placed in the relic
der
altar to
zweite
begin the trial.
Crossbow-Dude, Ascendancy ist besser als Summoner als die beiden Witch-Dinger.
In the trial of the Sekimas, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters
Da
in the
muss man
trial,
sehen, wie wichtig
you will
die
need to be very
Qualität dann
careful.
ist und so weiter
Each hit
im
will not only
Endeffekt.
hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the
Warte,
trial
das ist
and
wie
need to find
dieses
another coin in order to
komische...
try again.
Oh nö.
It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the trial of the Sekimas. After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward,
no.
you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how
Oh,
you wish
das
to
ist
proceed.
echt wie diese...
Which challenges would you like to face?
and which rewards
Diese
you want to
PoE
claim.
1,
Some
was war
rooms
das?
are more dangerous, afflicting you with
Roguelike.
debuffs that will
Dings
persist through the
da.
entire trial.
Ich hab schon wieder
For
vergessen.
example,
Och
entering this
nee,
room
das hab ich
will afflict you with
gehasst.
spiked
Und
shells
das ist die
that will cause all
Trial?
monsters
Das,
in the
damit
rest of the
kriegt man
trial to have 50%
Ascendancy-Punkte?
increased life. You will want to take care
Och
if you choose such
nee,
a path.
warum? Was war diese
There are many
erste
different
Mechanik, die
challenges
sie
and
geaddet
rewards as you
haben?
journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of
Och
monsters,
nee.
and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a
Oh,
second
ist
shot
das
at a run.
dumm. Warum machen die das?
One of the rewards you may find is sacred water, an
Das ist so
extremely valuable
schlecht.
and treasured resource to the Jinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the Jinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him.
Ich weiß es nicht. Das ist echt kacke. Ich hab diese Liga gehasst. Und dann machen die das als Ascendancy,
Having
als
defeated
Trial
the
für die
boss, you've earned the right to
Ascendancy-Punkte.
ascend. But first, the loot.
Och nee.
The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree.
Boah, das ist
Now,
echt.
there are more flaws
Das
and many more
enthält
rewards
mich
that can be
ganz schön,
found
muss
within
ich
the trial
sagen.
of the Sekimas, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Sekimas is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them.
Oh,
It's up to
okay,
you.
das könnte sein, dass
For
dann.
early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Da könnte es schon noch okay sein.
While exploring the Vile jungle,
Ja,
you'll
mal
discover
sehen,
the
das ist
Temple
ja
of
eine
Chaos.
andere schlimme Mechanik,
Before the Vile
die sie
embraced the
geklaut
science
haben.
of corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos.
Mal sehen.
This ancient trial was once used by the Vile to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vile must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master.
Ultimatum!
For those in which he
Yo,
sees
let's
potential,
go!
he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have
Mal
perished.
sehen.
Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin each chamber, the Trial Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to
Oh.
affect you through the rest of the trial.
Ultimatum fand ich
These
geil, aber
modifiers
das
might
kann
beef
auch
up the
mies
monsters,
sein, je
curse the
nachdem, was für eine
player,
Klasse
or
man
add
spielt.
environmental hazards like turrets or trap runes. In this case, we will be picking shocking turrets. As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the
Oh,
shocking
das ist ja
turrets.
richtig geil, was sie aus Ultimatum da gemacht haben, quasi. Keine runde Arena mehr. Ja, wie gesagt, Ultimatum, also es ist bestimmt nur bestimmte Builds ist das gut, finde ich. Wobei Darsteller ist jetzt vielleicht ein größeres Gebiet, ist es vielleicht ein bisschen besser. Mal sehen. Aber ist schon mal cool, dass man
After each room, you
eine
will need to make
Alternative
a
hat zu dem
choice.
anderen.
Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can become overwhelming. There are many types of chambers in the
Oh,
trial.
ich glaube, diese
Each will
Laufzüge
test
und
your
so,
resolve in
die werden
different
mich
ways.
übelst
This one
ankotzen
simply
irgendwann.
requires you survive for a certain amount
Also
of
oft werde ich
time.
das nicht machen.
Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able
Oh,
to get through the
shit.
first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same. After defeating the boss, you may
sehen.
claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekimas, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your Ascendancy class. Now it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more about that when we get to endgame. So
Das
how
finde
about
ich
we
schon
talk about
hart,
that now?
ey. Was, wie hieß die Liga?
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins.
PoE?
Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough in-game content. Well, we want to make sure that in PoE 2, people don't feel that way. And we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player.
Sanctum-Liga was.
This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in endgame each league. We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on endgame and make that great.
Was noch was zwischen
For new
45
players,
und
a
65?
25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the in-game challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types.
Hat sie einen Popel geschnipst?
The rest of the game is like
Sah so
80%
aus.
there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Crawl, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. You can kind of think of it as like a new
zum
game
Glück
plus.
ist das nur
It's also a lot
temporär.
faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases. That will take you to around level 65, where the endgame begins. Once
Ich
we
war
add
so
the
froh,
remaining
als sie
3
das
acts,
entfernt
we'll be
haben bei
removing
Pass auf
Crawl
Exile 1 die
difficulty.
verschiedenen
So you'll progress straight from the end
Schwierigkeitsgrade.
of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame? To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
Der Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known for is having a lot of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content. We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2 we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through. This is the Atlas, and it serves as the
Die
core of
verschiedenen
the
Farben
endgame
nämlich
for Path
an
of
Last
Exile 2.
Last Epoch.
It's infinite and expands in all directions. Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Val research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing
Da braucht keine
corruption
Maps mehr,
and
so wie es
finding
aussieht.
resources. In order to power the
Ja,
portal
das
device,
ist
we
echt wie
will
Last
need
Epoch,
waystones.
glaube ich.
Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected. All the
So habe ich
areas
mir
in
das
the
immer
endgame
vorgestellt,
feel
als ich das
distinct
erste
from the
Mal den
locations
Atlas
in the
gesehen habe
campaign,
beim
and we
Pass
have
of
dialed the
Exile.
randomization up to
Aber da
11.
braucht man
The
Maps.
monster packs you will
Und
face
das war
in
alles
each map are
random.
totally random, and the
Ich
combination
dachte, man
of them
könnte das
can
einfach
lead
so
to some
abarbeiten,
very
wie man auf
interesting
den Atlas
combat
klickt.
situations. There are over
Aber jetzt ist es
400
ja
monster
so.
types in early
Das ist nicht
access,
schlecht.
and they have a
Das
lot of
gefällt mir.
varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges.
Dito.
In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to
Man ist nicht mehr
defeat
so
all
auf
the
Glück
powerful
angewiesen,
rare
was
and unique enemies
Maps
in it.
angeht dann.
Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind
Oh, das
it.
ist fies.
There are also all kinds of
Aber
other random
gut.
encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure, but are
Ich liebe
always a trap.
Strongboxes.
Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often
Ich
have
frage mich, ob sie
mechanisms
direkt
to
wieder
unleash powerful
Atlas-Skill-Trees
spells or dangerous
haben.
debuffs. There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the contents. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Geh weg von der Box! Geh weg von der Box! Was, dann wird eingesperrt? Oh mein Gott! Oder? Hä?
Sometimes
Oh, das
you'll
ist ja
discover
mies. Man kann nicht da
monsters
wegrennen, wenn
frozen
die
in
Eisnova hat oder
instances,
sowas.
solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a
Es ist so
guaranteed mod from
geil.
a
Die haben einfach schon richtiges Endgames. Auf einmal, weil sie aus
For
Path of
example,
Exile 1
we could
klauen
use this
können.
one on
Richtig
some boots
gut.
to ensure a movement speed mod.
Ja.
Rarely,
Sieht echt
essences
geil
will
aus.
also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
Ich weiß so ein bisschen, ich weiß es, man sieht es aus, als könnte man auf einer Strongbox nicht mehr weglaufen. Das heißt, das ist so eine kleine runde Arena drumherum. Das mag ich nicht so.
This is
Krass, wenn die
incredibly
Detonate
powerful,
to
since it
Death hat
allows you
oder
to get a
sowas, die
second
Box.
deterministic
Bin
mod
mal
in your
gespannt.
crafting projects. Combining these with the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed.
Das ist gut. Gute Schuhe.
Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards, while suffix mods increase danger.
Vielleicht haben sie quasi eine
The more
Kombination aus
dangerous a map
dem
is, the more
aus Path of
Waystones will drop.
Exile, also die modifizierenden Maps und Last Epoch, dass man halt keine Maps mehr braucht. Man hat jetzt die Waystones doch anscheinend, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe.
There are a variety of factors you have to consider when crafting your waystones. Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open. Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast, and have
ist auch ein bisschen
specific
so
items
wie
that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now.
Abyss,
Perhaps
nee,
you'll
hieß
work
es
out
nicht
how to
Abyss.
use them later. You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations.
Nice.
A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards. Here, slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to make them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree.
yeah.
The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them. For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played PoE 1, you might
Die
be
Hand sieht viel
familiar
besser
with
aus
Breach.
als in Path
For
of
PoE
Exile.
2, we have created sequels to several PoE 1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach
Noch die
open,
technische
you will need to
Störung,
kill
das war
the demons that pour
komische Pause.
forth. The faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you
Oh
run
nein,
over.
es gibt wieder Breachringe.
These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out.
Zeig mal die Breachringe.
One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower.
Gott,
This
das
makes
ist so
all the
gut.
content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas
Oh
of
Gott, das
effect.
ist insane.
This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets.
Oh mein Gott.
In your fight to hold the breach demons at bay, you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each in-game mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mobs. You can also find Breach Rings, a special base type that can have its quality improved by
man kann sie
catalysts up to
craften jetzt.
50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some
nice.
good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing breach monsters, you may find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a breach stone. Using a vile technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breach stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Gastoik.
And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
Was ist nur rein? Breachlord? Oh, dass der den Popel geflickt hat. Da, er flickt den Popel! Holy shit. Ey, was das doch so mit den Händen,
This
ne?
is just one of the pinnacle encounters of PoE 2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself. But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All of these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from
Die
them,
aber alle
but that's not all.
kombiniert.
We still have the
So,
progression system. Defeating
Shaila.
Zesht will give you
Gab's noch
points to
eins.
allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree. Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards. The small nodes will increase the difficulty of the twisted domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands,
Oi.
and inflict you with a mysterious debuff. In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds.
haben sie
Defeating
gut
Zesht
aus.
at difficulty 4 will be a challenge
Oh
indeed, but there are
nein!
many more threats in Rayclast.
Er ist gestorben.
Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the
Ich mag
mysterious King of the
Ritual.
Mists.
Oh, das ist schon
If you
wieder diese
encounter this
garstigen
symbol in the Atlas,
Waldmonster.
then you know that the area
Nö.
contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed
Das
the
haben sie
altar.
hinzugefügt.
After
Diese,
the
ich glaube in der
sacrifice,
letzten
touch
oder
it to
vorletzten
begin
Liga,
the
diese
ritual.
Waldmonster da.
The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark
Ja,
magic,
King
and
of
you
the
must
Mist, die
fight
was
to survive.
kombiniert einfach. Das hat so vorher nichts miteinander zu tun. Auf einmal King
The
of the
tribute
Mist.
you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the previous ones, in addition to the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you will be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for meta crafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items.
Das ist ja
Have
insane.
an item with good prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mod you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There are a bunch more of these with different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover.
Oh shit.
Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets, which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual,
Advanced
then you will
woven
probably want
focus.
to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have
Wenn
brought
man 9
eternal
PC ging's bei
darkness to the
mir jetzt.
Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the Ritual section of the Atlas Tree.
Aber man hat nur
Some
8
maps have
Punkte
been
für
touched by and
die
set. A
Mechaniken.
mysterious entity has taken
Oh
a special
no.
interest in you.
Delirium war
Step
nie so
through the looking
meins.
glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life. When you touch a mirror, the mists of delirium will spread out across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the nightmare, which is as profitable as it is terrifying. Everything you kill will increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters
Nicht
are.
sterben.
Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree.
Oh.
This is like gaining an extra passive
Nein,
point
das
for
heißt,
free
es gibt kein
attached to your gear.
Dingens.
They are also particularly
Wie hieß
great
es?
because you
Blight.
don't have to
Damn
traverse
it.
the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get.
Leid.
Distilled emotions can also be used to
Oh
instill your
nein,
in-game
meine
maps,
Lieblingsliga.
applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your in-game maps. The tablets you can find from Delirium can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your progress towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or continue on, facing up against even tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. Occasionally, while clearing corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers.
Oh, good.
The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial
Oh, the
sites with lost
Kalgur.
Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives as best you can to dig up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts. You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding.
Ich glaube, Titan wäre vielleicht noch was für mich. Einfach
Grog,
einen dicken
Tujin, and
Zweihandwaffen.
Gwynn will exchange the
Wie-
artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this
Zoomt
one
ran.
increases the number
Das
of
sieht interessant
remnants you
aus.
will find. Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of
Ja,
buried
ist halt
treasure
kacke,
and
dass man
relics.
keine
Essentially
vernünftigen
one
Sammler
giant
ist, hat.
Here you can create an extremely long chain of explosives
gucken.
and
Ja,
go
ich
through a
weiß es ja
very
nicht,
high
muss ich.
number of remnants. But be careful, many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could
Ich
easily
hoffe,
make the
das
encounter
dritte ist ja
harder
nicht
than
so
you can
ein
handle.
so
There are all
was
sorts of
Sammlermäßiges,
interesting
weil
things buried under the ground in logbooks. You
ich meine, man
might
hat den
find
Hellhound da,
caves,
aber der Rest ist
hidden
halt,
pirate
keine
caches,
Ahnung.
But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as points to spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree. So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms, and a floor boss that you will need to kill.
Rafik!
There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last
Und,
floor,
ach
which
nee,
can only be
ich wollte schon
accessed
sagen,
at
wie
endgame.
Holder, weil hat ja,
The
ist ja so
Trial
ein
of
Wurm.
the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can
Time
craft
Lost
with your currency
Sapphire.
items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally.
Oh.
This jewel gives lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here. There are also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%. With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself. In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and
Was ist das
increasing its
jetzt?
rewards.
Ist
Of
dieses
course,
Sanctum
you can
noch oder
craft
was?
these with your
Sanctum habe ich nicht
currency
viel
items,
gespielt, damit
making
kenne
them
ich mich nicht
even
aus.
stronger. If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with
Ah ja,
one of
unten
many
ist dieses
unique
Honor-Gedöns da. Oh no.
These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you
Oh,
with
Mann.
unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last
Eine
Flame.
Pfeife.
If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will
Und am
need
Ende
to do a
kriegt man diesen geilen
completely
Ring.
hitless run. The Trial of
geschafft.
Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with
Triceratops.
items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random, mysterious outcomes. Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's also the most impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have. A body armor could get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods.
Also,
Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly powerful, but there is a good chance that you will break them as
ja,
well.
okay, also
The
geht das
Trial
auch.
Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Like all in-game content, there is of course a pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2.
Right.
While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting this city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again.
Oh.
Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for PoE 2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge, way bigger than even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access? Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store. But we also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical items. The cosmetics can be used right now in PoE 1 and in Path of Exile 2 when early access starts.
Shit.
Most of this footage has been recorded in Path of Exile 1, since that's where you can use them immediately. The Lord of Ogham supporter pack contains a cosmetic armor set befitting of the Count of Ogham himself. There is also a matching back attachment, which has an alternate variant depicting the influence of corruption.
Das will ich nicht.
Also in this pack, you can find a portal formed of the rusted armor of the fallen soldiers in the Red Vale of Ogham, and the offspring of a vicious crowbell boss found in the hunting grounds. This one doesn't look so vicious though. On top of that, you'll receive the Iron Count's Y-hander to apply to your one-handed or two-handed swords. For those who are wanting to decorate your hideouts with fond memories and tales of Path of Exile's history, you will also get a series of hideout statues. This pack contains the statue of Hillock. For Path of Exile 1's closed beta, each pack contained a true New Zealand icon, the Kiwi. Following this tradition, all packs in this series will also contain a new themed Kiwi pet. The pet will loyally follow you into battle, but run away at the first sign of trouble. Become the ruler of the desert with the King of the Faradin supporter pack. Show your mastery of traversing the sands of the Vasteri Plains. The body armor will allow you to glide along the ground with ancient sand magic.
Sounds like Atlas
Now
Fallen
each armor
geklaut.
set comes with body armor, boots, gloves, and helmet, but the boots are covered in sand. If you'd prefer to show them off, you can turn the gliding off if you want. The accompanying back attachment equips you with 2 powerful pillars that can control and manipulate lightning. They will periodically release their energy in a powerful blast while in town, and hover in a circle around you, arcing
Nice,
lightning
andere
between
Spieler
them, forming
nerven.
a
Let's
barrier of
go.
energy. Replace the appearance of any bow with the Faradin's Glory skin. Or replace the appearance of a spear with the Tyranny's End spear skin. This spear skin can be applied to staves and war staves in Path of Exile 1.
Das sieht schon ein bisschen
If you
übertrieben
want to
aus.
truly show your worth as a king of the Faradin, then you definitely need your trusty, moving, entire city fortress known as the Dreadnought to travel across the Vasteri Plains. In Path of Exile, you can decorate your hideout however you like, and it's no exception here. It comes with a variety of thematic elements to use, or use
Cooler
decorations
Hideout.
from elsewhere in the game. Additionally, you will get the Deshret's Blessing level
Boah, ich
up
wünschte, ich
effect,
könnte mein Hideout aus Path of Exile 1 behalten.
the
Das
King of
sieht
the
so gut
Faradin
aus.
Kiwi pet, and last but not least, a statue depicting the Vaal Oversoul from Path of Exile 1. For those who don't know how supporter packs work, each pack comes with all of the cosmetics from the previous tier, so you'll get all the items from the Lord of Ogham supporter pack as well. The Thaumaturge of the Vaal supporter pack features an armor set and back attachment themed around the Vaal and their pursuit
Okay,
of
das
science and progress.
das ist übertrieben.
You can
Das sieht
find
gut
the
aus.
Soul Core weapon effect in this pack, which causes thaumaturgic energy harnessed from sacrifice to spill from your weapon. This pack also
Das sieht auch
contains
okay aus.
Doyani's Idol. It replaces the default appearance of any foci to an ancient relic once used by Doyani, and this can be applied to shields in Path of Exile 1. That's not the only Vaal weapon you'll find. It also contains the Wand of the Thaumaturge skin. and the Royal Sacrifice Dagger skin. You wouldn't think to put sacrificial gems on a Kiwi, but the Val did. Thaumaturge of the Val supporters will receive the Thaumaturge of the Val Kiwi pet. And the Statue of Dominus. This is also the first pack in the series with a physical item. When purchasing this pack, you'll receive a Path of Exile 2 logo t-shirt. But if you don't want one, you can opt out and return for additional points to spend in the store.
Mit Exile drauf, glaube ich, aber.
Becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter will grant you an armor set and back attachment adorned in jade carvings and iridescent feathers resembling power. Enough to even impress the ancestral gods, specifically Tukohama, the Karui god of war.
Oh shit.
Overkill, you say? I think the Karui people would disagree. Why not drop a gigantic totem on rare enemies you slay to crush them to a pulp? Replace your crafting bench in your hideout with the Ancestral Canoe crafting bench, where Ancestral Chief Mata will summon a giant canoe manned by Karui warriors to aid in your crafting desires.
Warum ein Kanu?
You'll also get a pair of weapon skins. Equip
Fächer.
Akoya's Felling Axe
Riesenfächer.
skin to your one-hand or two-handed axes, or Tukohama's Crusher to your one-handed or two-handed maces.
Sieht doch Jade aus.
A true Karui warlord is always accompanied by their trusty Kiwi. Equipped with armor and harnessing ancestral magic, they make the perfect
Ja,
sidekick.
mir gefällt's auch.
Once one of the most feared beings in Rayclast, Malachi was slain by a powerful
Malachi.
exile. May the statue commemorate the virtue of Exile's past, present, and of the future. Of course, it's not all about dressing up in
Hoodie.
game. You'll want to look good in real life too. By becoming a Warlord of the Karui supporter, you'll also get a Path of Exile 2 hoodie. Our final tier of supporter pack in this series is the Liberator of Rayclast supporter pack. The Liberator of
shit.
Rayclast armor set and back attachment come made with the
Crusader
finest materials in
armor.
Rayclast, and shattered glass mosaics suspended in divine power.
Also das ist zu teuer. Das
Set
ist
up
doch
your
was mit
base of
$400.
operations in the Beacon of Salvation hideout. Why restrict yourself to just one island when you can liberate more? The Beacon of Salvation hideout comes equipped with your own collection of small islands and personal operators of
What
boats
the fuck?
that you can use to
Das
row
ist ein
between
geiles Side-Out.
Just walk to the piers, click a boat to enter, and navigate as you choose. Decorate each island as you see fit to best represent your well-earned hideout.
Ich hab kein
Everyone in your
Geld.
hideout can use their
Kann
own
man sich
boat.
leisten.
Why not have some races?
Bootsrennen.
You can also get the Window to Twilight
Oh,
portal
das ist
effect,
gut.
a beautiful mosaic piece of art that shatters and reveals a gateway to your desired destination as you approach it.
Das hätte ich gern. Das sieht
As
echt
you
gut
walk
aus.
away,
Alles.
glass
Das letzte
magically
ist echt gut
reforms back to its
geworden.
original form. Rule and style with the
Ah, das
throne of
dritte
the ruler
vielleicht.
map
Das mit dem
device.
T-Shirt, eventuell.
Sure, this map device can create portals to in-game maps, but it also
Wait.
comes with a throne you can
Was
set
hat
up
die
to
da an?
oversee your growing kingdom.
Ranzoomen!
Look down on the plebeians running your maps.
Was ist die Statue?
Being the liberator,
Ah,
though,
okay.
is not just about sitting in your throne all day.
Von Weitem sah es
If
besser
you do
aus.
decide to join the fight yourself, you can leave a high priest in
Hast du
charge,
nicht schon
second in
genug
command.
für viel? Was ist das denn?
Liberator of Rayclast supporters will also get
Ich
a
weiß
set
gar
of
nicht, wie ich
varied weapon
ausgegeben habe
skins.
schon.
The Light of Divinity Scepter skin, the Deliverance Crossbow skin, the Justice Flail skin, and the Redemption Shield skin. Once again, you'll have an accompanying
Wow.
Kiwi, and of course a statue depicting one of the most iconic events in Rayclast's history.
Kitava!
The battle between a powerful exile and Kitava, the Insatiable. With the help of two deities, Sin and Innocence,
Oh, ich hätte
the exile
gern
was able to defeat
diese,
him once and for all.
diese Mond-
This
und
supporter pack also contains the
Sonnenlady
Path of Exile 2 art book.
Statue
This
im
215
Game.
page full-color art book includes a
IRL
huge amount
auch,
of amazing
aber
concept art
da,
and
die
lore
ist sau teuer,
produced
glaube
during
ich.
the long and exciting
Die sind
journey
echt.
of Path of Exile 2's development.
Aber dann kriegst du auf jeden
And
Fall
finally, Path of Exile has a tradition of
deinen
letting the
Key.
community participate
Ich
in
weiß nicht, wie
designing
man halt da
game
Bescheid
features.
kriegt. Kriegt man jetzt eine
For Path of
E-Mail
Exile
oder
2,
was?
we're adding
Oder
the Twilight Order Foil Reliquary.
was ist das jetzt?
By becoming a Liberator of Rayclast supporter, once Path of Exile 2 is released, you will be able to select any unique item you have found and be able to drop it from the reliquary. Once
What?
players have submitted their items, keys to the reliquary will start dropping, and other players will be able to find foil versions of
Also,
uniques that you have
das
submitted,
hatten wir ja
along with a
schon.
message for the lucky player. The more players submit the same unique, the more chances there will be for the reliquary to drop. So
Alle
choose wisely.
Mageblatt, let's go.
Now, almost all of these items are available to use in PoE 1 right now. There are a few exceptions where the item class clearly doesn't exist, such as crossbows or flails. And there are also a few microtransactions on weapon types that are unavailable in PoE 2 at the start of early access. Once classes that use those weapon types are added, those microtransactions will be available to use. If you can't decide which supporter pack to choose yet, you can always start with the Early Access supporter pack that just includes a key and some points to spend in the store. Then you can upgrade to any of the following tiers at a later date. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout Early Access. We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened.
Scheiße, schon 10:30.
Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Stick around.
Das war schon
Coming
wieder
up
cool.
next, we have a live Q&A with Ziggy D.
Gucken wir erstmal hier. Hä? Oh, mir fehlt noch ein bisschen. Ja, muss ich jetzt auch noch ins CGT gucken hier. Okay, wo sind die POE Support?
To the post-show discussion and Q&A. I hope you all enjoyed what you've seen so
Sind
far.
schon
It's been
da?
pretty exciting for us here as well, as you guys have been inspired already just watching things. And you're already cooking a new ascendancy class.
Yeah, for sure. You've got to do design whenever you can. Yeah, yeah.
Aber ich denke mal das hier eventuell.
There's been a few fun moments here already.
160 ist
I'm your
okay.
host, Ziggy D, and I'm joined by Jonathan and Mark to talk about everything you've seen. Honestly, it's
480 auf keinen Fall. 42 ist mir auch zu krass.
To make sure that when we went into early access, that people didn't
160 ist
feel
schon
like it was
heftig
just, you know,
eigentlich. Sowas.
limping along and kind of, you know, just like a minimal amount of content. We really wanted to kind of blow people away. So hopefully people feel like, yeah, there is enough content. Because yeah, it was certainly a mission to get all that stuff in.
170,000.
I did come here expecting that there would be, you know, maybe a basic mapping placeholder end game and your 3 acts and, you know, the half the classes. But you've made a decision here clearly that's got the core PoE player community in mind.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we have to make sure, like, I mean, look, Path of Exile's endgame is kind of known for the fact that you get to choose between different types of content and that, like, you know, some people enjoy one thing, some people enjoy another. And I feel like that choice is like a huge part of what makes it good. So if we didn't have that when we entered endgame, then I don't think that would be, you know, like, that wouldn't be a Path of Exile endgame. So that's kind of what we have to make sure of. So we kind of said, okay, well, like, what is the minimum number of like different in-game things you need to be able to have in order to be able to actually have a viable in-game that you feel like you get different choices, and that's how we ended up with what we have here. I definitely feel like a lot of games nowadays release, you know, and their campaigns intact and real good. You get to the end game and it just falls real flat.
Yeah.
And it was certainly a very important moment for us when we were like, hold on, that's the wrong thing to do. Like, let's not make the same mistake as everyone else. Let's pivot. And we actually did that, and like, it made a world of difference and made the game all of a sudden, you know, 100 times bigger with an infinite amount more content, right? It was definitely hard though, because like, okay, like, it's like we're you know, we're progressing. It's like we would have made it. We would have gotten, you know, all these acts in if we hadn't have changed direction. It's like to actually say, you know what, we're going to specifically not finish this content that we'll be working on, you know, that we you know, it's like pens down everyone, we're stopping work on this, we're going to move over to endgame because it's actually more important. Like, that was certainly a hard one.
That would have been some whiplash there, I imagine.
For sure, for sure. Well, I mean, it's like suddenly the whole, you know, like environment art team, it's like, you know, they're all just like, whatever you're working on, just scrap. You don't want to scrap, but, you know, like, just stop it. we're doing something else now. So
saving clothes, yeah.
Especially for a lot of the developers, because you got to also think, like, a lot of our developers have just been working on this campaign for, what is it now, 6 years. Like, I think it's even longer, actually. Yeah, it's like just this epic journey, whereas none of them, you know, a lot of these people haven't been working on Path of Exile 1 this whole time, where, so some of us are like, you know, we're just churning out in-game with every league and doing all of that, but for a lot of these people, a lot of these developers, yeah, it was quite jarring to swap over, but everyone embraced it, you know, we talked about it, everyone was happy about it and stoked about it, and it just ended up coming out real awesome, so.
I think it's landed well, and it definitely kind of blew me away when you. So even before I saw anything, we were in the car on the drive here, and you were just.
Die haben die Entscheidung getroffen, alle
of the
gleich da
like,
sitzen.
oh, we got this feature, we got this feature.
Das muss doch eine Verschwörung
just
sein.
from hearing about it. I haven't even seen anything yet. But do you guys feel like you're competing against yourselves a little bit here? Because Path of Exile's kind of set the bar. The original game has set the bar for what is available to endgame in a game like this, and it makes it's not acceptable really to launch with just nothing in terms of endgame now.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, like, if you're not competing with yourself, then I don't think you're going to make good progress, right? So that's what you really have to do.
Yeah, but cracking that out for beta even.
Yep, absolutely.
Pretty
Well, as I
exciting.
said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that, and I think it's
Ach, noch
important that our
Kleid.
existing Path of Exile 1 community feels
Kriegen wir
like they're
irgendwann noch
also
mal
sort of
Kleid?
like, yeah, sure, we're doing all this stuff for new players, and that's really important, and that'll expand the audience. But, you know, if we launched and all the PoE 1 players are unhappy, that wouldn't be good. So, you know, we have to make sure that they also feel like, you know, they've got a game for both them and for all the new players we hope to bring to the genre.
And you definitely want all those different axes as well. Like just having two, right? You'll get a lot of content can be immediately divisive, right? Obviously, that's the nature of it. That's how it goes, right? And so you have all of these different avenues because there are different players who like different types of content. So if you're just like, here's your one in-game system, well, immediately there's a portion of players who are just like, I don't want this, right? And so having all of these options is like ultra key, and that is what Path of Exile 1 has taught us. And again, it's like, I'd say lessons learned, you know, for the genre, and it is expanding in other games and stuff, but yeah, certainly, as you said, competing with ourselves, yes, PoE 1 has like, you know, 40 axes, you know, and we've got 7 really good ones here, and obviously more to come. But 7 is a lot, mind you.
Especially when it's all like, you know, like people have to learn a lot of things again. It's going to be very interesting to see how long it takes people to do the kind of difficulty 4 pinnacle content. It's like we have it. Yeah, we have to. It's honestly like we actually don't even really know because like you never know what people are going to find in terms of builds and so on. Like I'm hoping that it will take people a while to be able to work it out. But you know, you never know. Maybe end of day 1, people just be like, oh yeah, easy, no problem, mate. You know, could be what it's like.
We have a few people that are doing that sort of thing. I saw like a solo self-found level 100 in 24 hours or something.
Jeez. Okay, we got this. Is where we've got it now, is it?
So, but I imagine there'll be a little bit of a soft reset there for people.
Yeah, for sure.
A
There's stuff to
relearning
learn.
period.
There's stuff to learn.
And I mean, PoE 2 has changed a lot over the years, so more than 5 years of development now. And what was that initial pitch when PoE 2 was first put forwards, like, as to what it's going to be? Because it was much smaller in scope originally.
Yeah, so when we started, it wasn't even a sequel. It was just we're just updating the character rigs, and over time, it kind of feature creeped into a proper sequel. But the thing that we were saying is, whenever we were talking about it, and I guess this is the main thing, is that we're like, okay, when we make an area here, it needs to be that there's like a theme for it. It feels unique from everything else. We're not going to just like have recycled stuff like within the campaign that just feels like, oh, you know, we just took this area and modified it slightly. You know, each one's got to have its own stuff. It's got to have monsters that were like carefully thought about that like, you know, fit in with the world. And it's got to have bosses that are actually like good tier quality. You know, and every area is going to have one. So those decisions have kind of been things that have meant that they really raised the quality bar to a level that took us way longer than we even really expected. Like those things there, just like it's huge, right? Like honestly, I feel like we underestimated significantly what it would take to deliver that level of quality.
I remember really early on, a battle I fought for, and I mean like way back, was like, if you think back to, say, Diablo 2, which obviously still holds a lot of, you know, power in terms of design motivations and philosophy and stuff within the company, you get things like the super uniques, and PoE 1 did them, and it's just like, here's a boss with 1 or 2 skills. And I remember very, very, very early on in PoE 2, I'm like, I want every single boss to be memorable and a thing. I don't want a unique monster that's just like dies in 2 seconds and uses heavy strike and has a fancy name. And
dachte, spielt weiter.
I remember, I even got some push. I remember getting some pushback at the time and thinking like, you know, I love the bosses, my favorite part of everything, and so I was just like, man, I don't want this. This is just terrible. But of course, that decision, me pushing for that, me wanting that, turned into this megalithic.
What have you done?
Now we have 50, aiming to be 100. Honestly, probably later, several more 100 once all the end games, everything start to evolve and more expansions comes out. And I'm like, yep, we maybe just made, you know, 100 times more work for ourselves, but 100% bloody worthwhile, because I'd say those bosses are one of the main, you know, attraction pieces of the game. And anyone who plays it is just like, holy crap, those boss fights are amazing. So like, you know, obviously some are bad and some are good to different people and all that. That's how it all goes. That's part of all the fun. But it is true that me pushing for that thing literally created thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work. Now, worthwhile work, but it is again that exact thing of like, the scope was kind of small on numerous axes, and as we just raised the quality bar to what we thought was good, it certainly went from, what was it initially, just reskinning some character classes and new rigs or whatever, into this like mega scale entire campaign, everything. But
full standalone separate game. Yeah.
Fun other anecdote, since we went out of that territory. It was originally codenamed Project Chimera.
What?
Schau, zieh dich lange ein bisschen zurück.
It was this pipe
I've never been a fan of
Ich habe schon vorletzte Liga so nur noch am Anfang gegrüßt bei der Vorstellung der Liga. Und dann hat der Mark übernommen.
Sometimes there'll be a feature you can't really do in PoE 1, and it was always like, we'll do it in Project Chimera. That was like amongst the developers, and people were like, what the heck is that? Now, ironically, there is a boss in Act 3 called, well, it's got a different name, but it's called the Chimera internally. It is a Chimera. It's a multi-headed beast. And you've seen it in a few of the marketing, things here and here, different trailers, little snippets of it. And I think it's just ironic that was actually the first boss asset made before everything, the first monster, because back in when we used to just make random monsters and we'll find out how to use them. And that was made for that game. It was used in the original PoE 2 trailer, right? It is the only incomplete, technically, but only from a balance standpoint, or it was the last boss to finish in the entire Path of Exile campaign right now.
It sounds like there was like some sort of emotional demon that you had to battle there, of like the legacy of the original idea, and you had to finish it.
We had a moment with the
Man hat sich wirklich, ich weiß nicht, ob da was gesagt wurde, aber es ist nur so viel zu sehen.
we were effectively like,
Aber ich denke auch schon, dass es so in die Richtung geht. Ich weiß nicht, ob er direkt in Rente geht oder eine Position einnimmt, wo er nicht mehr so im Mittelpunkt steht.
Not to say the
Keine
end,
Ahnung.
because the end is forever away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still the beginning of a journey in many ways.
Yep.
But on that note of celebrating, like, how do you guys feel having now kind of, for the first time, I feel really like laid bare kind of everything you have, you're putting it out there, and only being 2 weeks away from everyone playing.
Insane.
Well, it's always scary, coming into a release, and I think especially for,
Es ist halt geil, wir kriegen wieder eine, sozusagen eine Weihnachtsliga.
This is their first game that they're going to be releasing, and that experience is something
Ja,
that.
ich glaube, genug Geld hat er schon länger. Spätestens, frühestens.
It's tough, and honestly, I think that even we were feeling a little
Zumindest
bit
sagen wir
cocky,
seitdem
actually, about the fact because we released
viele Anteile an diesem chinesischen Konzern da verkauft haben, sollten sie eigentlich
what it took to get a game released, but
genug
honestly,
Geld
like
haben,
PoE 2
zumindest so
was just a whole
die hohen
entirely
Tiere
different
bei
demon,
GGG.
as far as getting things out, right? Like, it's just way more difficult. Like, when you actually have to make everything, like the whole frickin' thing, right from the ground up again, it's like, wow, there's way more stuff there. And like, there's even things like the passive tree, where it's like, I feel like we underestimated what it would take to get something like that to an actual releasable state. Like, that was a huge amount of work, just like absolutely colossal to get it to get that kind of stuff in shape. Like, it's just been crazy. Yeah, like obviously it's nerve-wracking, coming up to coming up to a release day. But I think we do have something that players are going to really enjoy, and like, it's always comforting when I mean, we had a live event in LA recently. People, we got to the time limit and everyone's like, oh man, we don't want to stop. So like, I think people are going to really enjoy it.
It's been a whole different experience for me here playing this time around as well, whereas before I was playing a very buggy kind of internal version of the game that was very experimental. Now playing a, almost what I'm going to be playing.
Well, I heard you still managed to blow the count up the elevator with some kind of knockback bug.
I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah, we have to get that one.
I did send the Act 1 boss up an elevator with knockback. It was good.
Intended mechanic.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He was in his like big wolf form and kind of trapped in there, so just barking at me through the wood. It's good. So a few little, I'm sure there's a few things to work out over this next 2 weeks. I hope the team can have a little bit of a rest for a day before they get back into it. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So you've done that pivot to the end game focus and got so much for us now to play around with in the beta. And it seems like originally I was thinking, we might be playing for a few weeks here, and then maybe going back over to some Path of Exile 1 stuff. But it seems like you guys want us playing through Christmas.
That would certainly be good. I mean, look, there's enough stuff there. I think it will take people a long time to get through.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, it's also going to be the first time people are playing through a completely fresh campaign as well. I think that will take people a fair amount of time. So yeah, there's, and then of course the end game as well to explore. I mean, yeah, it should be pretty significant. I mean, we've always wanted it to be that Path of Exile 2 leagues, are going to be, like how PoE 1 leagues are, where you play them for like, a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And then, sure, you get done with them eventually. And then
Ich bin gespannt, wie es wird mit dem Alternieren der Ligen dann. Ich weiß nicht, ob ich das hinkriegen würde. Ich glaube, ich fühle mich dazu ausgebrannt nach einer Liga dann noch Oder sagen wir von Path of Exile in Liga zu spielen, direkt nach einer Path of Exile 2 Liga.
And will there be something before launch as well?
So we are going to be having new leagues effectively throughout the beta whenever we launch something significant, because we want to make sure that all of the effectively that people are able to play through. But that stuff will be merged into an early access league, and effectively after we go into full release, that league will stick around. Now, I can't promise that everything about your character will function exactly like how it did in that thing.
I imagine it will be a glorious kind of snapshot of all of
the
But effectively, we can contain all that stuff in the sort of early access
Aufregendes Neues kommt oder so vielleicht.
Then you can go right ahead and
Oh, das steht schon so krass vor. Vor allem kommt mir so Sachen wie Last Epoch, würde ich halt auch noch ein bisschen spielen, ab und zu mal, wenn wir eine neue Season haben.
Will forevermore be archived in the in standard.
So, schon noch andere Action-RPGs drauf.
No doubt will.
Well, it's nice that it's not going to be affecting what will be the standard league.
Oh, Diablo 4, vielleicht kriegen die mal was hin irgendwie.
I mean, there's even something kind of cool about the idea of making something that will be like that little historical piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little collectible.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be some handful of legacy things that only exist in early access leagues.
Stimmt.
So,
Titan
I'd like to see what gives the unique balance.
You talked about like the playing for a week or how long are we expecting?
Yeah.
Well, we also got to remember, and a lot of the PoE1 players were thinking very differently to people who are obviously going to experience this as a new game, but it is a new game, right? You don't have all these predefined, hyper-refined builds to play to immediately, go through things. You don't have people coming in with like fully detailed 7 million line build guides of exactly what to do with what items. The discovery is going to be there. The discovery takes time, and the discovery is like honestly ultra fun for me. I love it. Now those things will emerge after time. Of course they do. Completely fine. But you just got to remember, like, there's a lot of game to play here, to discover, to learn about the world, the new narratives, the new world building, the new unique items, the ascendancy classes, the massive passive tree, which is bigger than PoE1's, the end game systems, the bosses. It's not going to be this I personally, when a PoE1 league comes out, for example, I play for like a month. Sometimes
Ja, so wie es jetzt ist, auf jeden Fall, ja. Ich weiß nicht, was Adam noch nicht gespielt, aber ich glaube nicht, dass es so viel gebracht hat.
But there's certainly going to be a much longer time period you can play this for while still discovering new stuff and not feel like you're finished.
Boah, ist schon geil von alles, was man gespielt hat. Das hat mir echt ganz gut gefallen, das Endgame da. Zwar nicht so Vergleich zu Path of Exile, aber war schon funny. Mit diesen korrumpierten Zonen da, Hellzonen oder wie immer die hießen, das war echt ganz cool.
You'll get more efficient over time. That's how the game works. So, yeah, I'd expect a lot of time to be sunk into this to fully explore it to start with, like a lot, not a week, not 2 weeks. You're going to be going far, far longer than that if you want to see everything. But, it's up to you. Play at your own pace. See how you want to go. Learn at your own pace. That's the beauty of a new game as well, which we haven't been able to experience with Path of Exile 1, or other games, and for so long, is actually discovering the entire world. And yeah, there's some familiar mechanics at the end game and stuff like that, which is awesome for people. But I certainly want to I'm very excited to see people discovering the new things and getting so excited about it.
I can tell you're amped for watching people go through that discovery process. I'm maybe even diving in yourself 100%. I mean, I love sitting there in Path of Building, as many of us do, but I am very excited for that.
Well, yeah, as we were saying,
discovery process for a while.
I think you were saying how much you were part spreadsheet. I think I was saying I'm like maybe 60% spreadsheet, 40% discovery, and that's my play archetype. So
coming up with our player profiles, Timmy spikes and things like that for both of Exile characters.
The discovery part of me is ultra excited, and I'll mind you, that's coming from someone who kind of knows all the content. I'm still, because there's something different about making it versus actually playing it live with the players, seeing them discover it, uniques being linked in chat and on Reddit and all that. It's just so cool. So we're going to get a massive dose of that, and it is like genuinely exciting to just see how people are going to think, what's worth 1 chaos or what's worth 10 chaos, what's worth if chaos is even the metric.
Is chaos even the currency that people settle on?
We were arguing about this earlier.
I'm pretty sure that 1 C spam in chat might turn into 1 E, because 1 exalt. Given that exalt is now,
I think it'll be chaos.
People probably
ad remove will still be.
People don't appreciate, by the way. So when we say we've increased, you're going to be getting multiple exalts in Act 1. in PoE 2. Like we actually have increased that a lot. It isn't just like an idle, like.
I can see Exalt's becoming the new kind of like chaos.
Yeah, I think actually that
chaos
it will
being
be.
the new divines.
I actually agree. But we'll see.
That's my point.
But it's a new economy, right?
Who
Like who
knows?
even knows? The market will have to.
But I like that we're already arguing about this. It's good fun. So, do you have some kind of like beta release roadmap for updates and things like that for people to look forward to?
I mean, we certainly did have one 6 months ago when we were, but now that we're now that we're sort of getting to release, it's like, oh my god, like we have to look at it. So, I mean, look, I don't think it'll be any less than 6 months, and I think it could easily end up being more. I certainly don't want to. I mean, look, 2025, I think really want to be full release in 2025. I don't really want to be spending more than a year. That would be pretty crazy. But I mean, honestly, like we have to get all the content finished and all that sort of stuff. We always feel like we underestimate these things, and of course we have to learn what we need to learn. We have to get the game to the point when it is really fun. We have to make sure that like all of the things like we've got the difficulty right for all the players, we've got the economy right, like all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that we have to sort out. And so I kind of have a feeling that the first few weeks at least are going to just be scramble of like, oh crap, someone like worked this crazy thing out and we found this thing, and like that's always scary, because it's just when we add content to PoE 1, it's like at least the kind of base of stuff that we have is kind of well tested and people know kind of what's going on with it. But here it's like just complete new world, and we're the kind of game that has a lot of ability for players to do stuff that we wouldn't anticipate. We have just the way support gems work and everything like that. So there's certainly a lot of worry that like there's just going to be builds that are like completely ridiculous that we just never anticipated, combining certain things in different ways we don't expect. With hundreds of support gems, it can be like that. So that's going to be an interesting one.
It will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
It is inevitable, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's nothing we can even do about it because you need hundreds and thousands of hours of testing to be able to do that with what can only be done with hundreds of thousands of players. But that's also the magic of it all, which is awesome.
That's why I was asking you, like, are you literally really doing 12 classes and 36 ascendancies, like actually?
Yeah, that's absolutely. We have we know what we want to do with
It's a
all
bit
that stuff.
unhinged.
It is a bit, but we like a challenge. I mean, a studio that produces a passive skill tree like we do clearly has a bit of a glutton for punishment with regard to just like mixing.
You totally could have done 6 and then like, I don't know, added more later in an expansion or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could have. I mean, look, this is the plan. This is the plan.
Ich gibt's also einen warmen Charme oder so.
It's going to feel like there's just expansion content coming up pretty frequently. Just because we have all the stuff that we kind of got a lot of the way through. So there's stuff that's coming. I mean, look, I'm pretty sure. Like, I really want to get the Druid out. Like we announced it, we've talked about it. It's a lot of fun. I'm keen to get that out there as soon as we can. The Huntress we've talked a bunch about as well. There's like those kinds of things I think will be.
Ich spiele.
But there's obviously more to do.
The other thing you mentioned, talking roadmap like things, is we've always been. It's hard to predict because a lot of what will happen and what we leave space for is reacting to what the players want. And so if you plan everything for so long, you're going to have very, very, very slow reaction times to fixing, or adding certain content where maybe the issue is like, the campaign needs more of this, or this class needs more of this, or something. So if you're planning, then you're going to be delivering on what they want solved like a year down the line or even longer. And where we like to remain very, very dynamic and like, you want to be able to fix that stuff like, this is the main problem. Like, sure, obviously you need more in a week, sometimes, most of the time. But we want it generally to be that the next releases, expansions, updates, whatever, can alleviate as many of those problems as possible. So,
Irgendwie zu Path of Exile 2
try
wechseln.
not to get too strict with the planning has generally been our philosophy because, especially when it comes to actually having the live service product out, because that is very, very important. Otherwise, you're never going to seem like you're doing what people want. And what are you doing if not that?
So that actually is a good point. Like, I was going to ask, what do you folks, what does the team want out of the beta? Because obviously it's like a good way to market the game, but it's also, key to shaping the game in the future. Like, the actual beta. It's not just early access.
I think one of the most important things, I think it's going to be really good for the development team to get back into a live mindset and like get it back into the idea of like
bin noch
everything we make
unentschlossen.
is shipping.
People are
So,
seeing
you know,
this.
like get back into this. You know, people are seeing. You know, like actually getting back into that and like and like being able to sort of see directly like, okay, we make something, it goes in the game, people like it, don't like it, like that kind of stuff. Like, and that really like that has been our studio for like most of its lifetime. Obviously, we you know, before we released PoE 1, it wasn't, but after that point, I mean, we are a company like. We are a company that likes to think that we can do live
Weil
service
du auch im
better than anyone
Nahkampf.
else. Like that is our goal. And so,
Die
like getting
Idee,
back
zwei,
into that again, you know, for the
zwei
entire,
Waffen
everyone in the
vertragen,
studio, so that everyone's
revealen, das
working
ist
on
echt
things that are going to be releasing within, you know, certainly
Das
in less
mag
time
ich.
than, you know, than 3 months away. Is going to think be really good for us again. I look forward
Also
to
eine
just being able to do
Fähigkeit,
that,
die ich im
because
echten Leben
these
beherrsche.
long-term, like really long-term things, like that span over years.
Wie es
that
fehlen
go
noch
so long
Ascendancy
without
Klassen.
proper feedback, like stuff kind of.
Also ja,
gets
es sind
made
nur
and then,
zwei
like, you know,
released worden,
it's
es
not
sollen
really in a
3
real
pro
game,
Klasse
so it
geben
doesn't
am Ende.
get
oder
tested
Probably lose
so.
perspective
and you absolutely lose perspective on this stuff. So I think that that's just going to be really great to get back to that again.
Yeah. I honestly, as you said, it is early access. It is a beta period, and I'd say, you know, personally speaking, the thing that, and we mentioned it briefly about the character balance and the builds that are broken and all that. That's obviously pretty useful to me, right?
Yeah.
Plus, we have other systems in there, like, you know, the checkpointing system, right? You have to kill the boss in 1 life. You know, these are things we haven't mass tested, and obviously other games have, and they work, and that's awesome. There are other things like, you know, the end game system is a little bit less forgiving in that if you die, you fail the map, right? These things are things that we obviously need to test and iterate on in the future by adjusting the difficulty and stuff like that. And you, especially as you get towards this point of, you know, the end game, like, okay, Act 1 has been tested like crazy.
Yep.
Right? And you get less and less testing as it goes on because you get less people, you know, they've just been around for less time. And so, yeah, it's going to be a huge amount of iteration and feedback and from the players and us just, you know, reevaluating all the stuff. And the thing is, we're always dynamic about that stuff. Like, we'll just change things if it's wrong. We'll redesign it. We'll come up with a new way. Jonathan's a firm believer of if A doesn't work and B doesn't work, then we'll find C, we'll find option C, we'll find option D, and we'll keep changing things and we'll make it work. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of that iteration on our design decisions, how forgiving, because, like, the game is pretty hard, you know, it can be pretty hard. And so when you're on that fine line of, like, you know, if things are difficult, you know, it's not too easy to know if you've tilted one way or the other. So, you know, finding what everyone agrees should be the common corrected difficulty is something that I will obviously be paying very, very, very close attention to.
It's a pretty hard thing to nail down when you are making the game. And so we've seen that a lot where you folks have been pretty willing to change and then rechange again some of the core features like flasks and the waypointing system and portals. And you're keeping that kind of mindset going into the beta then?
Of course. I mean, look, we're always willing to change stuff. Like that flask thing, like the most recent change to that was like ultra recent. Like, have we even had like a closed beta of that yet? Was that? No, I think we haven't. Yeah. But I mean, I think it's way better than it was. Like it's the things have improved a lot. And honestly, like that's one of those things we've been wanting to do, something to sort out flasks for ages.
Yep.
And it really came about because when actually looking at what new players were having trouble with when they were playing, Flask piano was actually like, even from the very beginning of the game, actually ended up being one of those things that like people just had trouble with, just like just the manual dexterity required to like hit all your different flask keys, and then you have to know when one of your flasks run out so you can move to the next one, and like various things like that. Like all that stuff actually was like just a weirdly large amount of mechanical complexity right from the very beginning. And then even at end game, I don't think it was really that satisfying either, because you ended up with like, you know, just like having to press all these buttons all the time, and obviously it's all utility flasks that people are using at end game. And then we kind of tried to band-aid this in PoE 1 with the you know, some of the flask automation stuff that was added there, but there was still this idea that that you're still more powerful if you don't automate. So therefore, you know, like it's like, you know, it's like there's that trade-off there. So
you're just more powerful if you get mage blood. Really,
sure. I guess. Sure.
I mean, it's all automated, and you're very powerful.
Yeah, sure, all right. But you know, so the point is effectively that the charm stuff that we're doing effectively means that you no longer, the game is making that decision of like, you know, that stuff will be automated. You no longer have to do that like crazy flask piano to get the best, you know, the best out of your character. And I think that is definitely a step in the right direction. And the other thing as well is it actually makes the crafting more meaningful, I think, on the flasks, because when you've got like 5 slots, then like the individual mods and the individual stuff like seems to tend to not matter as much. I mean, obviously, people want instant recovery and things like that, but like but like now it's like it's much more meaningful. Like on your life flask, the choice between do I want instant or do I want way more life, like that kind of stuff actually can be a lot more meaningful once you've only got one. So yeah, I think it is a lot better personally.
You have we'll jump ahead to floss since we're on the topic. You have locked in effectively the fact that there's a mana flask there now, so there's always going to be a mana flask slot. And how does that tie into your design for mana? And are we always going to be using a mana flask slot, or if we solve another way, what does it do? You
can absolutely solve another way, and then you'll just have a flask slot that isn't doing anything for sure. But I think it kind of has to work that way because we really don't want. Because like once you sort of start to get into changing that around, I feel like the system sort of starts to break with regard to like the feeling of like I know where mana is, I know where my health is, like that kind of stuff. That being said, we've always got uniques and stuff like that. I believe there's already
there is a unique that allows you to equip 2 life flasks.
But the thing is, then that's a build choice that you're making, so it's a little bit different, and that's fine. But I think the system as it works now just it's a lot easier.
So it does sound
Guillermo
like on the
del
mana side of
Toro
things, then there are
verfilmt
going to be multiple
Frankenstein. Wie
angles of
krass, das
solving
wusste ich
mana,
gar
not
nicht.
Of course,
necessarily
so
flask
we've
spam.
got Leech edition number 475 of how it works, and we've finally got it right this time. I think it works, and I think it's good. So I think that Leech will be more common.
I'm not going to have to like crack out the Leech diagram showing buckets and things like that.
I was saying, I think that Leech might be. No, I think. I was going to say Leech is one of the topics in the studio that has wasted the most designer time of anything in the industry. But I actually don't think it's that. I think the actual worst offender is what stats should Dex give you. I think that is like that one has wasted there's so many arguments about that.
I feel like that one's never come to the fore. Like we know about the Leech one,
but no one is happy about giving accuracy. But no one has a better idea than what accuracy that it can give. And then, like everyone's going to come up with like in chat a bit. I bet they'll be like saying, oh, it can give this or this, whatever.
The text speed.
But there's like yeah, seriously, there's been endless
text speed
arguments about that
and
topic. It's outrageous.
You've got me thinking about it now.
Yeah.
I mean, speed would be good, but then that's probably too much. Too much.
Something like Dex, you just can't.
Dex stacking speed.
Oh, we can get all the designers down here right now.
Yeah, I know. We'll just have it out again. We'll just have it out again.
The longest Q&A of all time.
Yeah.
It's already going to be that.
Sometimes you're just like, you start the day, and you're like, all right, here are the problems we need to solve, and then you're like,
what about?
But then accuracy on Dex comes up again.
No, it's 3 p.m. and we're still discussing dexterity.
Yeah.
So go home. Just make it accuracy again.
Yeah, exactly. That is literally how it comes back to accuracy every time.
This is okay.
Yeah.
Rewinding a little bit, we can't forget our roots with Path of Exile 1, of course. So for the PoE 1 enjoyers, what is the plan for PoE 1 during the course of this beta? Is there going to be leagues launching? Is it on the back burner?
Yeah, there absolutely will be leagues launching. Now I don't know the exact date, but the plan is kind of late February.
Yep.
But I mean, look, we'll see what happens. I will admit that unfortunately we did have to steal a few PoE 1 resources just towards the end here, which is kind of been a bit unfortunate. I really wish we didn't have to, but as I said, we kind of underestimated some of the stuff. But everyone is going to be going back to PoE 1 again for the February league, and we're going to make sure that we do that. Like one of the things that was a big problem for our studio when we had a long-term project and a short-term project, is that. You've always had that thing of like you always want to work on the short-term thing.
Yeah.
So now that we've got 2 short-term things coming up, I actually think it's going to be a bit easier to prioritize in some respects because
funnily enough,
it's just like all that stuff is then is like coming up soon. So but we'll see how it goes. But we need to get that PoE 1 expansion out next.
Yeah, obviously, I just want to always make it clear that, the reason why things can't be so planned out is, again, we're just releasing this game.
Yep.
Obviously, we pivoted to endgame, and then that needed more resources. And then, of course, combined with the fact that, things obviously change. There are unpredictable things in the environment we can't necessarily guarantee. And then, of course, you have, Christmas coming up and all of that, right? There's so many variables to consider, but we also don't know how much time is going to be invested necessarily or need to be invested into live operations for post-release. How many problems are going to go wrong? How many builds are there? How many of the uniques are broken? How many, and where do all these resources go? There are like just millions of variables here to consider, and so like it can get very, very difficult, especially at this time. But once you release, you have a bit of a grace period, so to speak, where or more like a period of extreme amounts of fire, where we're putting out fires everywhere. But we have a period where we're fixing everything. You get everything stable, and then we're going to be like, all right, let's recalibrate, figure everything out, and what is our plans, and then establish all of that, based also on the feedback we get from that period where everything's on fire. Not to make it sound like it's going to be bad, but that is the inevitability. Is that there's always problems. And
hopefully, it appears good from a player perspective, but there's always going to be like, oh my god, people found this, and we
don't have to see all the fires.
Like ideally, the best thing is when we're able to fix some kind of exploit before people even hear about it. And when I say exploit, I'm just talking about some broken thing. Like if we we obviously normally have to worry about like the whole mid-league nerf concept, but it's like if you can deal with something within like an hour or two of it happening, then it's like you're kind of okay because no one had a chance to kind of like everyone didn't swap their build over to it or whatever. But we're gonna have to be really on the ball for PoE 2 just because there's so many things that are new.
Well, I mean, look, we have several bosses with several elevators. How many of them can be pushed up the elevator? You know what I mean? Well, that's what I mean. When I say a fire, I'm talking about bosses getting pushed up elevators. Like, that's not okay.
I am liking my mercenary flashbang knockback is very fun.
Right. Yeah, you need to look into that, by the way. The whole flashbang.
I feel like you're going to nerf my build.
Is this from he's finding fires already? No, these are the fun things. Discovering that stuff can be very fun for the players. It's just internally, it's like, oh no, what are we doing? It can get a little bit panicky after release, and it there's lots of things going on. You're like, oh geez, what do I solve first? But obviously, it's the same as PoE 1. We're good at it at this point.
Got some experience. Indie belts. You aren't going to be torturing us with like releasing beta stuff at the same time as PoE 1 league launches.
Yeah, the plan is to keep them separated a bit from each other so that you get a chance to play.
Don't
with
make me
both
choose.
Yeah.
So we saw a cinematic, to put it lightly. It was that was quite epic, and I know has been cooking for quite some time, and that was pretty exciting. But we've also seen just a lot of story stuff happening on a much higher level than previously now. So stepping up your storytelling game here a bit.
Yeah, so we're really wanting to make sure that the storytelling in PoE 2 is much better than what it was in PoE 1. There's a lot more kind of
es gibt noch mehr Cinematics.
I guess that kind of like
das war richtig gut.
Stuff with the introductions to boss fights and the outros and things like that. Like all that stuff, we've just got a lot more storytelling going in. All of those things. We do have the intro cutscene. There's also kind of like light, like between the acts. There's these kind of like more kind of motion graphic type cutscenes, just kind of establish things. And there might be some more surprises later on in the game as well. Not in early access, unfortunately. Later on that we can that you can see as well. But ultimately, we just want to make sure that, I think a lot of people who got through the PoE 1 story had no idea what was happening by the end. And so, effectively, we want to make sure that is not the case this time around, that people really are able to absorb things. But
guilty.
One thing I will say, though, is that it's ultra important to us that we don't break the feeling that, like, when you're playing a second time, that it feels like we don't want it to feel annoying the second time.
We were talking about this morning.
Von wegen, ey. Fucking Kampagne bei Pass of Exile 1.
A believer of the fact that if you just change, when you change the camera position,
warum habt ihr das nichts gemacht, das so
immediately it feels way more
annoying.
If you click on an NPC and like the camera changes position, like sure, when you're playing through the campaign the first time, that kind of thing is like that can be cool. But then if you're like you're playing through the second, third, fourth, fifth time, you want to be able to go to the NPC and go click and just get past, and without it feeling like you've had to sort of worry about anything. So like effectively, we want to make sure that it's still that we still have that, because ultimately, we're a game you expect people to play through many times. So ideally, we can kind of deliver both the situation where the first time you play through it, it feels like an amazing story that you're getting, that you're taking seriously, that you're understanding, that there's like all those sort of touch points and little things just all through, while also maintaining the fact that if you know what you're doing, it's like you don't have to go talk to some quest giver just to get a quest. Like you can just go do the thing, without having to talk to someone about it first. So that kind of stuff is really important, just to make that stuff work well when you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you said something this morning that stuck with me, where you said like Path of Exile is a game where the player's meta knowledge is allowed and
Yes,
encouraged.
absolutely. So
you're allowed to cheat the quests.
Effectively,
because you know what to do.
there's what the character knows and there's what the player knows, and in our game, what the player knows needs to be sufficient as far as like being able to progress the storyline. If you don't want to have it so you just talk to an NPC just to find out something you already knew as a player.
If you kill this boss, you get the next area's waypoint. So you just like kill it, log out, log in, waypoint, right?
I love doing that.
Meta knowledge.
Sure.
Yeah. So you explained to me the other day the kind of the context for the beast and how that leads into the cutscene in the beginning of PoE 2 from PoE 1, and that I think helped put it in a lot more perspective for me and made me appreciate and understand what's going on with the story.
So
here
effectively, what you're seeing in the opening cutscene is effectively the a new seed of a beast that is going to be is growing. Now in PoE 1, the beast was killed. And then what happened in response to that is a bunch of all the gods in the world were able to, effectively rise again. And you killed a bunch of them, but there are more, in the world. And effectively, we don't want to spoil too much about the storyline overall, but effectively, obviously someone here, the Count is wanting to harness the power of the beast once again. And then we have the mysterious figure there who is saying, no, don't do this. This always turns out badly.
There was a comment in chat that I loved that was like, stop opening Eldritch boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do people keep doing this?
Yeah.
But I would.
If someone handed you a mysterious orb, wouldn't you press the button?
I mean,
there's a puzzle box.
Exactly.
What's inside?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to try, but who knows how many hours it's going to take me.
Indeed.
So we had a fun moment earlier where you were watching it and you were like, "Oh, we really need to rename that passive because he's a Karui and it's a wolf. It's called a wolf.
Great Wolf's Howl. And the Great Wolf obviously being
so he went out there.
Ismite history.
You started telling him.
I stomped out of the room. And I was like, we need to rename that notable. He's Karui. And then I was kindly reminded that actually he was
an orphan who
orphan and was adopted by a Ismite and raised and so yes, there is a mixture of Karui and Ismite background, and I was like,
it works. You were wrong.
Fair enough. I walked back in here all sad and whatever. My bad. It's fine. The name is good.
He looked so chastised when he came back in, but that just like points to the fact that I feel like you're doing a lot more with the characters here.
For sure.
You even mentioned that ascendancy stuff is going to have an impact story-wise.
So,
that's wild.
We just think a lot about this kind of stuff. So the acolyte of, and I always get this name wrong. The acolyte of is it Chalula?
Chayula.
The acolyte of Chayula, for example. So that we have this sort of storyline with the origins of the monks, where there's like an order of monks who worship a thing they call the Dreamer, and the Dreamer is actually Chayula. So they don't know this. So they're effectively worshipping a breach demon. So the acolyte of Chayula is effectively you embracing the fact that I'm worshipping a breach demon. I'm just going to go all the way.
I'm in too deep now.
Yeah, exactly. we're just gonna do it. So there's a lot of thinking like that goes into these things. Like what is the history of these people? Because I think a lot of that stuff inspires interesting mechanics as well. So for example, on that one, you've got that into the breach skill, which kind of means you're always in a breach all the time. You can see the things going on. Like that stuff is. I think that there's a lot of cool inspiration there. So coming up with that storyline stuff for that stuff,
there's a couple other little things that I think is cool as well, and hopefully people will notice and pay attention to. So there's one of the bosses that was shown as uses a lot of time or chronomancy, and interestingly, if you are a sorceress and you ascend to chronomancer and you then go to fight that boss, if you, for example, try to use time freeze, the boss is like, that doesn't work on me. And has a dialogue line. And if you cast temporal chains on them, he's like, just puts it back on you. And it's like, And so there's interesting things like that. And it doesn't like change things on a grand scale, right? It doesn't make a certain class not viable or anything like that. But there's just interesting little quirks and quips everywhere. Different bosses have different intro lines depending on what class you're playing. They have different skill lines sometimes depending on what class you're playing.
We've got different dialogue all through the campaign for different classes classes like the sorceress is obviously from the Maraketh. When she goes back to the Maraketh, there's kind of a little backstory there about how she was banished originally. So she needs to find a way to she needs to be accepted back into their culture again. Like we've got things like the character we talked about earlier. So the warrior, was an orphan. He was brought up by actually one of the NPCs in Act 1 town. So obviously there's a whole different dialogue there because he's effectively his adopted son. We've got things like that. There's a lot of thought that's gone into just trying to make it feel like all these character classes have some level of involvement with the world. They didn't just come into existence the moment that you.
There's other little things. So like more on the narrative side, obviously we saw the world map. You have the icons that show different things that are in each act, like all the things you want to explore,
Such a good
find,
idea.
and awesome. But each of them also has a little bit of a kind of little bit of text on them as well. And like, for example, there's one in one of the first areas in the game that's just like a camp of Iron Count guards. And, we showed it in a trailer when the Ranger class trailer we did, whenever it was, you saw the Ranger kill some of them because they were trying to like hurt a child, and the child was just trying to get some food. And the Ranger just like snipes them with arrows and kills them ruthlessly. And so you read this thing and you're like, you hear whispers of an Iron Count, scouting party that was slain by a rogue archer or something like that. So you get these little things where we're like connecting a lot of little dots, and even that you absorb a little bit of interesting little information. You've got other things, for example, when you enter an area, it not only says the name at the top now, it has almost a subtitle text that's giving you a little bit
of history.
And these little things like somehow make the world building feel so much better. And when you approach certain landmark rooms and you walk into them, you'll get a banner at the top as well, which says what it is and gives again a little bit of a thing. And all these little micro narrative delivery mechanisms like make you feel way more immersed in the world and way more aware of what's going on, and way more connected to your character, way more connected to the bosses, to the NPCs. There's a lot we're doing now that we certainly never did before. We didn't even think of before. But yeah,
I like that a lot because like, as an action RPG gamer, I don't really care too much about plot, but I do want a really cool world to be blowing monsters up in. Basically, that's like, I want the characters to be cool, I want the baddies to be cool, and I want like the things happening around me that like build out a bit of that story without me having to stop killing stuff.
Yeah.
And it sounds like there's more of that going on as well, which is great.
There's tons.
The baddies being cool. I mean, that's how we almost designed an ascendancy class in here just before when we were watching that trailer earlier.
Yes. So what you were saying a shadow. You came up with a shadow ascendancy.
Yeah. Internally we had some developers watching the trailer yesterday, getting excited about it, and then I was like, I want to play that. I want to play that character. I want to be that character. Yeah. That's awesome. That like. Kind of Val Thaumaturge type character, and so like all of a sudden it's like we should make that a class, and then we had another guy like suggest it should be a shadow, and so now I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely we have to do a Val Thaumaturge like shadow ascendancy, like that's gonna be cool. And you can do awesome things now. Even I know it's hard to see because you hide it under all the armor, but you can do things like. With our character classes, just due to the upgrades and models, where all of a sudden now the character can have tattoos added to them and stuff like that is completely feasible in the future. And like, I want to do a lot more of that stuff. Like for the, there's little things like for the Warbringer, I think was the class name on the warrior. When you take that ancestral totem node, all your totems now have like an extra blue glow to them, kind of like they're enhanced by this ancestral magic. And what we also want to do is add tattoos as well that like glow blue when you're using certain skills and all that. So heaps of little things that again connect all the culture and all that stuff together and make you feel like it's believable as opposed, and this is a character as opposed to this is just a mechanic, and
makes picking an ascendancy more epic. I know that there was a part in the trailer that was like not fully finished where you ascend and it doesn't really do anything, but I know you want it to be like a cool moment where some power goes into you.
Absolutely. We just hadn't finished the VFX yet.
Even the another one, the Blood Mage, when you like play the Blood Mage, now you get an additive surge on your character whenever you cast spells. You're getting like almost bloodbending kind of vibe going on, and like
drawing it from their veins and sending out a fireball.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's real cool.
Yeah, you can have like the tattoos get tattooed on them as they ascend and things like that. I mean, that just makes taking ascendancy way more cool, which is it's already, I think, I almost feel like ascendancy is more important than the classes for players kind of like feeling the vibe of what they want to do with their character.
For sure, because the classes are pretty open. You can play whatever skills, whatever weapons. Sure, you're on a passive tree at a start point, but by high level, you kind of go wherever you want to go. Using jewels, especially getting off-class stuff, you can kind of be whatever you want with the base class.
Yeah.
So eventually, yeah, the ascendancy is what becomes more of that important identifying feature, because that's what you have actually chosen that makes you distinct, that another different class wouldn't be able to actually have. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to make that super, super cool. And on that note, I know I was definitely confused. I know people were definitely confused and a little worried about ascendancy and what's happening with that. And people were like watching the Sekima trial and being like, oh, what if I don't like this? Oh, is this another lab again? But I want you to like lay it out as like simply as possible. Like how do you ascend?
Yeah, so effectively, in the full game, there's going to be 3 ascendancy trials. For early access, there's 2. And effectively, you can use any of those ascendancy trials to be able to do your ascension.
You choose.
You choose which one. And effectively,
Gespannt,
if you,
was die dritte.
as you get to higher level keys for those trials, that will unlock more points. Like if you do it at certain level breakpoints, that will allow you to get more points for those classes. So if you want to just play the entire, just only the trial of the Chaos God, with to get all your points, then you can just decide to do that.
so
Just play
tief
at
wie
higher levels and you get more points as you go through.
Ascendancy-Punkte zu
If you want to do a mix, that's fine too.
Viel Spaß.
Personally, I think people will want to try out all the different content. I mean, you might think that you, but even within the trials, there's choices, right? Like, I know that there's always contention around traps, but because in the because in the trial of the Sekimas, you can choose which rooms you want to go to. If you don't want to deal with traps, you just don't pick those rooms, right? Like,
you don't go to the gauntlet rooms.
Don't go to the gauntlet rooms. You can just go to other things.
Do the combat ones.
Do the combat ones, and that's fine too. So effectively, it's like you always get to choose like what you're doing there. Like it's funny because like I know traps are so contentious, but also there are other people who just enjoy that stuff. So we want to.
Keiner mag Traps.
There's these like
Path of Exile, divisive content, but lots of choice, and you can choose what to do and what not to do, and then we're embracing that here now, and that is.
I mean, you're
just a
clearly
win.
leaning into that now. You have well, I mean, such a competitive advantage in that you have so much content, and even with PoE 2, that's still going to be the case. So you can lean into that, like making content that is spicier but divisive.
For sure.
And now you're like separating
Ja,
tree.
ich würde das ja die
and
dritte
having these
tatsächlich.
things be
Klassisches
able to be
Labyrinth.
focused on a lot more. And you're doing that with the trials, with the ascendancies. So and you can kind of do all of them and drip feed yourself smaller progression if you want.
And there's also stuff that you're going to be getting from those, like specific rewards and everything that might incentivize you to do that. But of course, on the other hand, if you don't want to do that content, we have full open trade, right? You can just trade for the rewards, and that's fine too. So like that's always part of the.
Yes, like the rewards there. For example, like jewels drop throughout the world. But if you want to get more jewels, you go and run Sanctum. Now, if you want to get the Radius jewels, it's Sanctum. I can't. Trial of the Sekima.
So just for anyone who isn't a Path of Exile 1 player, this is effectively a sequel to Sanctum League that we did in Path of Exile 1. So it's mechanically very similar, but it's obviously a Marraketh, like a Marraketh trial now, and we've changed a lot of things about it have changed, and all like the content is new, but it is the same overall mechanic. That sort of roguelike mechanic that we have.
And it's the same with the other one. You have Ultimatum and PoE 1 being the theme, and of course now it's redesigned and it's evolved into Trial of Chaos. So yeah, a lot of people in chat would have been spamming Ultimatum, and for those who haven't played would probably be like, what? I don't understand.
Yeah, effectively the Trial of the Chaos of Chaos is a sequel to Ultimatum. Which is
and we just have to get used to the new names, which is very hard. But anyway, the point being, of course, and Val Orbs drop in the world as well, and if you want a larger dose of Val Orbs, and you don't want to trade, feel free to run some ultimatums. Thing is, because they're all item-generated keys as well, it's not like you have to do it right then and there. You can trade the keys away. At any point, you can also buy more keys if you want to farm more of that thing. And if you just want to do it later, just stockpile a bunch of them, run them all at your leisure. You know what I mean? It's like you have the freedom. They are itemized, tradable.
Das ist eine Katze im Sternenhimmel.
In Path of Exile tradition, but
as is everything, right? We do the only thing you can't trade is gold. So
Weil
we're
so
like the
richtig
exact opposite of most
nicht so
games, where it's like the
schräg.
gold is freely tradable and the items get locked. We're like the gold is the only thing you can't trade, and every other item is free and open.
Yeah, and that's because you've made gold be this like way to be like you're playing the game, so you have access to this, and
Absolutely.
so you don't want to trade that away.
Effectively.
Yeah. So how on the ascendancies and the trials, how hard do you foresee getting your ascendancy to be while leveling? Do you expect people to fail out and attempt these things multiple times, and what does that look like if you do?
Well, I failed the first time I did this. I did the trial.
It is important to know that first itemized key is a quest key, and we have special rules around it that if you do fail, you can just repeat it, right?
Yeah, you changed that recently because
Yes, I did.
that was something that I didn't actually realize you'd changed. I guess it was a little bit too harsh to require to get another one.
Yeah, you weren't the only one failing it.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so pretty much you get to reattempt it, and you know, for something like Ultimatum, you know, just to immediately start thinking of exploits. It's like, I can just do 3 of the waves, then intentionally fail, and then repeat them. Well, we've thought of that. Don't worry, you can't. But yeah, the first ones are repeatable. You're not going to be like, you know, oh, what the heck? Now I have to just play to the whims of random generation to ascend like that.
Right.
Yeah, so
it is pretty hard though. Like it'll take. I definitely don't think you'll do it on your first attempt. But
I did. Not
you
to
did,
brag.
you
Not
did.
to brag.
Well,
I did.
well,
I
it's
did
just-
pass on. I was clenched though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, especially in that boss fight.
I was watching him do the boss
You
fight.
came
from
by
afar.
right as I was doing the boss fight.
But you had some like kind of powerful boons there, to be perfectly honest. So.
I got 60% move speed. But
Yeah,
that
you
was
were
part
like-
of my strategic choice.
I was watching you from. I'm like, how is he so fast?
This isn't the PoE2 design.
I was like, what was Dodge Rolls going across half the arena?
This game's supposed to be slow. Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. I quite liked it. I like mostly like Sanctum. I don't want to do it all the time, but I did quite like the Trial of Sycamore. But knowing that there's other choices, so I can do Ultimatum instead or something like that is fun.
100%.
So you got these like 2 roguelike dungeons that are going into the beta that launch, but they're done very differently. One's got the honor system, which is like a separate health, but it's based on and scaled by your health, which I noted as quite
And your defenses
interesting.
now. It can be
And your
fully
defenses.
mitigated and
Yeah,
everything.
so
Yeah.
fully scaled by your character. You go in a tanky character, you'll be tanky in the dungeon.
Oh,
which is
that's
really
good.
cool. So
And then with
you've solved
Ultimatum,
that.
and just because people will ask, in Ultimatum there aren't any traps.
Yes.
So
Das wäre
Traps
noch
and
ein
Ultimatum,
Fehler,
and
über
no honor system
Ultimatum
and
mit
Ultimatum. If
Traps.
you just want more of a pure
Yeah,
combat
correct. You can do
experience,
Ultimatum
then
for
that's your choice. And then there's going to be a third one as well, which
There will eventually.
is a secret for now.
So
but-
once Act 4 goes in, then we'll have a third trial. So you know, people sort of broadly know that the Kuruia in Act 4. So it's the question of how would the Kuruia ascend is the question there.
Yes, and if there's any other things that have been called trials associated with the crew at some point in the past, and how likely that is to be related.
I'm just thinking now, we're just thinking of that Val Thaumaturge class with 4, and I'm already thinking like, oh, it'd be so cool if you ascend in Ultimatum. We want the Trial Master to say different lines to you because you're like choosing the way of the Val. I can't stop thinking about all this stuff.
I did hear a few of his lines in some of the gameplay Jonathan was showing me. It was quite good. I love that he's back, the Trial Master.
Yeah, he's cool.
Good. A little salty sometimes that you're taking this power, it seems. So we have the unique rewards from each of them. We got like the like you said, the jewels.
Alter, wie lange machen die denn?
There are unique
Ich muss
jewels,
jetzt ins
and
Bett.
then there are unique socketables from the other one. And is there's something planned?
Ich gucke mir morgen noch auf Tagungsziel Zusammenfassung an oder sowas.
Of course.
Yes, there is.
Ich muss morgen noch arbeiten. Oh,
I'm not say it.
Keep some secrets. Fine then.
Naja.
Again,
Wahrscheinlich
value
machen sie
is
das eh
discovery,
Schluss, wenn ich
right? I'm certainly,
Feierabend mache.
if I accidentally say it, it is certainly by mistake. But yes, don't.
Wie auch
That
immer,
Valor
ich bin
from the
jetzt weg.
Ultimatum
Ich
in
muss leider
particular,
pennen.
They seem like
Wir sehen uns
they're
vielleicht
a
morgen
lot
wieder.
more
Ich weiß noch nicht, was ich morgen
important,
mache.
a lot
Mal
more
gucken.
I mean, I certainly
Schlaf
think
gut.
that like
Bye bye.
some of the
Schönen
stuff is a
Restabend.
lot better with how they work. So yeah. So one of the things that we wanted to change was that implicits on items are truly implicit.